Hey guys, we're gonna watch the Moonshots. This episode with Andrew Yang. Um, this should be interesting, especially when it comes to UBI, UHI. So I tried to vote for Andrew Yang, but he got replaced by Joe Biden, Mister Come On Man. So I was kind of upset about that. And then on top of that, they cut his mic when he tried to talk, so they really wasn't trying to have Andrew Yang be president. So, but we're gonna get into this and we're gonna watch some moonshots. Um, I'm curious about this.
Given the advances of AI and robotics, we're going to have something called universal high income.
I'm not sure how you get to universal high income without a major. As dysfunctional as I thought our political system was, it's even worse.
This fourth industrial revolution is the most dramatic thing that's happened to our society in history.
We're here in 2026. I do think the jobs are going to get whisked away.
So you're going to have rampant social unrest if we don't do something quick.
DC is on a multi-decade tape delay. You have, like you said, the rate of change just accelerating all the time. And so what's gone from an inconvenient tape delay is now a catastrophic one.
The disintegration of the social contract is the most important conversation that we could be having.
What's the advice?
Yeah, I'm wondering about the whole situation of people losing their jobs and that the AI. I use AI a lot myself, so like it's gonna be interesting, especially since I don't work myself. I'm disabled, so I'm curious how this is all gonna play out.
Advice for someone in college today or someone a junior, senior in high school?
The only career path you can rely on is entrepreneurship and owning your own future and path. But a lot of people aren't cut out for that.
Now that's a moonshot, ladies and gentlemen.
Everybody, welcome to Moonshots, another episode of WTF Just Happened in Tech. Here with my Moonshot mates, DB2, Dr. EXO, and AWG. And here,
I'm kind of in Peter's face. Let me move that. Move me down a little bit. Go ahead and do that. That'd be a lot better. You guys can see.
with a friend of the pod, a dear friend of mine, Andrew Yang. Andrew, good morning to you.
Hey, Peter. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Are you on the West Coast?
East Coast.
All right.
Yeah, so for me, this is a better time than you guys.
Well, everybody else on the East Coast.
I'm surprised to see Andrew Yang is on the East Coast now. I've been on the East Coast my whole life, so I'm not near New York or anything. I'm in Ohio, but yeah, I've been over here like my whole life.
That's why
I'm on the West Coast now.
no one complained about a 6 a.m. start this morning. Yeah, we're excited to have this conversation. A lot going on. You know, for us, this is a conversation on typically AI and exponential technologies, how we get people ready for the future. And one of the things we're talking about in the future is the changes that are coming and the potential for social unrest. How do we deal with the changing social contract? We're going to talk about UBI, UHI, a number of different subjects. Everybody, if you don't know Andrew, entrepreneur extraordinaire, 2020 U.S. presidential candidate, which really put him on the main scene, leading advocate for universal basic income, founder of Humanity Forward and the Forward Party, and a national voice about AI's impact on jobs and the middle class. You know, we get a lot of conversations, a lot of questions around.
I wanted to say we really do need UBI, because the whole system is just not working. Like our capitalist system has been fucked up for a while. I would say things were easier in the 90s. Um, but yeah, without UBI, like most people like make less than 50K a year. A lot of people don't want to talk about that, but it's true. Most of us are working minimum wage jobs, barely making anything. Uh, paycheck to paycheck, barely can afford, groceries. Can't even buy can't buy a car, can't like buy a house. Relationships are destroyed. Um, what the fuck are you supposed to do as a single dude, Like there's not much you can do. You're kind of fucked. So we definitely need UBI. We need to like solve some kind of like I don't even know how to say it. We need to figure something out or we're cooked.
Around, how does all this conversation around AI, crypto, robotics apply to me? How does it apply to me if I'm not, in the VC business, if I'm not a tech entrepreneur? I want to dive into that. So let's jump in. Andrew, I'm going to start with a conversation about UBI versus UHI. When Dave and I were interviewing Elon at the beginning of 26, one of the conversations that came up was his theory that no, we're not going to have a universal basic income. Given the advances of AI and robotics, we're going to have something called universal high income. Let me play this short clip from our conversation, uh, which which went a little bit in unintended or unexpected direction. How do we go towards universal high income instead of social unrest? So my
Why
opening,
not both? Have universal high income and social unrest. That's my prediction.
oh, that will make for a lot of problems.
Is that your actual prediction?
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems likely.
Andrew,
Universal high income would actually be better than UBI. And the reason I say this is because then everybody will be on the same equal footing. You won't have this whole classism bullshit going on. Everybody will be able to afford, basic needs, which is part of Maslow's hierarchy. So high income will just make it to where everybody's equal on the monopoly board. My only concern though is like, do we what if somebody like spends all their money and then ends up not being high income again, you know? Do they just like we just say fuck those people or I'm wondering about this, but I definitely agree that universal high income would actually be better than UBI. And then you wouldn't have certain people in power either, like everybody would have their own say.
reaction to that, pal?
I'm not sure how you get to universal high income without major political realignment, and I'd suggest that universal basic income would probably have to come first. It would be like an intermediate step. And one of the things I'd love to unpack with Elon is how he thinks we get from here to there, and also how this interacts with the person that's asking the question. Like, let's say you're a 50-year-old middle manager at a Fortune 500 company that's worried that your job is going to disappear. You might have a mortgage, you might have two kids. And then how does that person wind up with a robot doing all their chores and money flowing in such that they can bring their family out to a nice meal at will? Like that, the path to me is what's important because we're here in 2026. I do think the jobs are going to get whisked away in a lot of these firms, and that family is real. I mean, I grew up with folks who right now are deeply concerned that they're going to lose their job, and they very well might don't have a huge safety net or pool of savings. Maybe they have a kid who's primed to go to college, and then that's another part of it is like, hey, what's college for? Like if I
College is pretty useless today, I would say. Like for sure. Like most people that are at college are I mean, you have mostly women in college right now compared to men. most men were like, why go into debt, and not be guaranteed a job? But a lot of women still go to college even though they might not be guaranteed a job. So, um, I would say college is pretty useless. The only thing I could really see from college is maybe like the social network. Like you could meet girls there and shit like that, but at the same time, it's like most of those girls are probably gonna be either focused on their studies or they're gonna be fucking all the chads. So, it's I don't know. Is it really worth the debt money and being a total debt slave? I don't think so.
I'm saving up $250,000, $300,000 for my child to go to university. Are they going to get a job afterwards? Are they just going to come right back and live with me? So those are the questions that I hear every day.
I really got the feeling talking to Elon like he was eager to work on exactly the question you asked until he got to Washington. And his quote actually was like, "It's a blood sport." And man, did it scare him away in a hurry. But I think he was eager to work on exactly the logistics of getting from here to UBI to UHI. And, one thing we talk about on the pod is how short the timelines are. The election cycle is going to be 4 years no matter what, but AI.
I am curious about the whole thing of Elon leaving the government like that. I I didn't see that coming. Like I thought Elon would still be there with Trump, but I'm so confused like what the hell happened there. So maybe it is like a lot of shit, like shit is going down in the government and Elon was like, this is crazy.
AI is accelerating at a rate where 4 years is like 40 years. So the amount of change inside any given time window is like nothing we've ever seen. So maybe we should just figure it out right now.
Oh,
That would be
one
great.
of the jokes I told just yesterday, Dave, is that DC is on a multi-decade tape delay, in part because we have 70 and 80-year-old legislators, and you have, like you said, the rate of change just accelerating all the time. And so what's gone from an inconvenient tape delay is now a catastrophic one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Salim, what are you thinking about this?
I've got a bunch of thoughts. First of all, Andrew, I want to just applaud you. You're the social contract interpreter for the whole world. I think that you're bringing UBI at a top level discussion is one of the most important things we could be doing. I have a quick apology for you because a few years
Like I would totally vote Andrew Yang again, but my biggest issue is like last time he ran for Democrat and it's like I do not like the Democrats. I think they're against the US. I think they're trying to destroy the US. Um, Especially when it came to like Biden and Kamala opening the borders and just like letting everybody in. Like, I think if you vote Democrat, you're, voting to destroy the country. I really do. And it's pretty bad. Like I voted Trump twice, in 2020 and like recently because yeah, we needed to protect our borders or Americans are gonna be fucked or, we're gonna have more rapings, more like killing of women and we don't fucking need that shit. Especially with we're already having issues with like, marriage and relationships and you have women in this endless loop of chasing narcs, like narcissists, and it's getting pretty crazy. And on top of that, like I'm sick and tired of seeing it online like crazy. So we needed to do something, especially so that's why I voted Trump. Um, I don't know. Andrew Yang to me seems like he's in the middle, but who knows? I do agree with the UBI thing though.
ago when you were doing your presidential run, I interviewed you for 25 minutes and we finished this interview, and at the end, I realized that I'd forgotten to hit the record button. And I said, Andrew, I'm so sorry. And you were so
That's
gracious.
why I
You
lost, Salim. If that interview had aired,
no.
we'd be
You were
doing this from the
incredibly
White
gracious.
House right now.
You were incredibly gracious, and you said, Let's do it again. And we did it again, and it was fantastic. So I really want to just thank you for that.
Oh, look at that. That is not why I didn't win.
You can't put it on me. But I think this is the fundamental, the disintegration of the social contract is the most important conversation that we could be having. And I think you're absolutely right. UBI has to come before UHI. The big challenge is going from a labor union tax job construct to that is such a big leap. Public office and public sector is not going to get us there. So have you thought about how do we get there?
Oh, yeah. I think about it all the time. I think about it every day. And,
I'm waiting for enlightenment.
So path number one is that government gets its act together, and that seems vanishingly unlikely, I know, but I still believe that that's more of a possibility than most, and I can see some real outsized asymmetrical possibilities.
Like, government will get its act together if it has the right people in charge. If it has the wrong people in charge, they'll just fucking drive the nation down in chaos. So, like, if we have the right leaders, then, the nation will be better and society will be better because of that. But at the same time, you also have the fucking elite that are above the president, and they're controlling shit as well. So it's like, how many of them are actually pro-American? How many of them are pretty much like, fuck you?
Even in 2028. Then the other path is that you have a series of, I was going to say billionaires, but they don't have to be billionaires, just like well-resourced individuals say, look, let's just get the show on the road. I was encouraged by some of what Dario Amodei and the Anthropic team have put out there, where they say, look, they were honest. They said, we're going to automate away 50% of the entry-level white-collar jobs in the next 1 to 5 years. And I was like, oh, like, thank goodness they came out and said it, because, like, people might believe them. And
That's the thing. I have one friend right now that is the only, well, I would say this is the second friend that I have that actually makes like 60 to 80K, and out of all my friends, like, I only have two friends that make that kind of amount of money, which is pretty crazy. And yeah, like, I tell him all the time that, his job might be automated, and then they'll probably have him do different stuff or let him go, who knows. So I tell him all the time, just save his money, because yeah, you never fucking know with automation.
B, they're going to get phenomenally wealthy, and they expect to give the vast majority of it away, and they would like to shore up the social contract and find ways to keep society whole and strong. And so if the government
Like UBI and UHI, well, UBI would definitely help me out, because with me being disabled and barely making 1,000 every month on the first and third, I can't really do much of anything. If I work a part-time job, like, they take away my SSI. Um, if I go past a certain amount, it'll fuck with my SSDI. Like, all these like limitations that shouldn't be a thing, but it is. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm dealing with myself. I only make like maybe like 12K a year, not even that. And yeah, like, UBI would actually help myself, like, my situation out, especially since I spent like, what, May to November last year in 2025 homeless. So
doesn't get its act together, you can see a group of um, tech innovators and entrepreneurs who are part of this revolution turning around and saying, look, we want to make sure the middle class survives this era. and here's $100 million, here's $500 million, and then you'd pick a locality and show what can be done, which itself might catalyze other philanthropy and the government eventually. So those are two pathways I see.
Hey, everybody, you may not know this, but I've got an incredible research team.
Yeah, we need to do something quick because shit's getting crazy. Like we need to do something. I'm gonna skip this real fast. I think this is most likely a ad. Um,
Number in mind?
Well, I campaigned on $1,000 a month in 2020, which, if you run some numbers, GDP right now is around $84,000 a head. It's going up because of AI, so it's going to break 90 and then 100,000 in the relatively near.
I myself, I don't think GDP matters. I think what matters more is the people in the country. Like if all the people in your country is sick and everything else is going to hell, it's like what's the point of GDP? Like what so that the rich can just keep getting rich and fuck everybody else? Like it just it's stupidity. Like you can't have a working society like the 1950s and before if like you know Americans can't do shit.
Near future. 1,000's probably a bit low if you look at the poverty level.
I agree. 1,000 is definitely low, especially when it comes to rent, electric, internet, phone, car if you have a car, kids if you have kids. Like all those expenses add up. Even groceries. Like there's no like I live on 1,000 a month and I can barely do it myself. Like every month I'm like after paying like bills, I'm left with like probably what 300 if I'm lucky, 2 to 300. And then I have to use that on food if I don't have food stamps. I don't have a car myself, so I'm lucky on that aspect because, that would just eat away my money. I have to pay for my storage, which is easily 100, 120. So yeah, I don't have much after I get paid every month. I can't even save really if you think about it. Not unless I'm working like a part-time job, but then they cut my SSI.
Agreed.
Now the poverty level, it depends upon where you are in the country, but it might be something around $25,000 a person, in that order of magnitude, and that's per person. And
Right.
so
Like my other buddy is disabled himself, but the only reason he gets like way more than I do, like he gets like I think it's like 3,500 in like disability, but the reason he gets that is because of like he's a vet, and then on top of that, like he has PTSD from being in the military. So, but he's living pretty good. Like where I myself, I'm autistic and I barely make 1,000. And I've lost like many jobs because I'm autistic.
you can see maybe like twice the $1,000 a month might be necessary.
So if we gave the bottom 200 million of the 300 million Americans 50,000 a month, that's
Or
about 10
50,000 a year, you mean?
50,000 a year. Yes.
Dude, if I had 50,000 a month, I'd be in a house. I'd have a car. I'd easily have a girlfriend. Easily have a family. Like 50,000 a month. Yeah, I'd be living pretty gold, especially since I've been poor my whole life. So,
A month would be good.
That's about $10 trillion allocated per year. I mean, the opportunity is if, in fact, we start dividing by zero, meaning the cost of
If they want to get the birth rate up, like UHI would definitely make the birth rate go up, because then look at everybody would be equal, and then like what the women won't be complaining about, oh, he's a brokey, he's a scrub, he ain't got no money, all this other bullshit. And it's like, I mean, they'll still go after who's ever smarter or who's ever stronger, but I mean, you can always go to the gym and buff up and all that other shit. So it's like, yeah, you'd still be on equal playing foot, get your game up. But yeah, like that would solve the whole like birth rate crisis by everybody having money to be able to afford a house and car and a family.
labor and AI. One of the other conversations we had with Elon was we're going to see the first $100 trillion companies, and we're going to see multi-trillionaires coming online. And one of the points you bring up is
Like I myself, I don't even care to be a trillionaire or a millionaire. Like I would just be happy if I can fucking have a roof over my head, a car, a family, and be able to take care of my fucking family. Like I don't need to be like super rich.
is the money for a UBI coming from the government, or do humans start aligning with companies and the companies start providing basically that UBI? I wonder if that's an option you've considered.
Company's a possibility. I actually think it's going to come from human beings. And one
Individuals.
example.
I think it should be from human beings or the government, because I think if companies do it, like companies already fuck people over all the time, so I'd I'd rather it happen from the government or certain like, rich people that want to like help everybody out.
Would be something like what Michael Dell and his wife recently did, where they gave away, I want to say, $6 billion to Trump accounts for generally poor kids in the Texas area. It was maybe $250 a person, but it was from an individual or their philanthropy, and it was geographically centered on where Michael lives. And so I see that as a harbinger where you just have an individual say, like if it was Anthropic and they live in the Bay Area, they could be like, look, we're going to do this for like this region. And then that to me is more likely, because if a company does it, a company has a hard time justifying it, especially if they have shareholders and even if they're public. I mean, if they're public, they would end up with lawsuits up the wazoo saying like, you can't be giving company money away to do something this shareholder serving.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to have to come from human beings. But and by the way, one of the cases I also make is that, look, so if I'm a billionaire, which I'm obviously not, though I know you guys know some people who resemble that. The media sometimes presented it like I was, and then my wife's like, where the heck is this $1 billion that they keep talking about? So if I'm a billionaire and you come to me, and by the way, I think this entire billionaire tax conversation is really counterproductive. It's I mean, the fact is, if you actually had a 5% wealth tax, you'd have 0 billionaires the next day, because they'd all be in Switzerland or wherever.
Texas.
Also, any one-time tax, it's like, what are you doing? Like,
no, they're saying
kicking the
recurring.
can down the road next year. Like, how's that gonna work?
Yeah, no, they're saying recurring. I was like, yeah, good luck finding someone who's gonna stick around for that. So if you're a billionaire and I come to you and say, hey, we need your help to keep America from utterly disintegrating, you would say, look, I'm into it. I'm a human being. I'm sympathetic, and I don't want my kids having armed guards around them all the time and all this other nonsense. But I'm dubious that if I send a check to the government, it's actually going to go to anything good.
Right,
because the
right.
government is, just going to end up, like putting it towards some debt that they ran up, or some bureaucracy I can't identify, or some, other boondoggle. I'm very, very sympathetic. And so then you'd say, hey, how about we skip the government step and we take this right to the people and people that you care about. I think the Dalios, Ray Dalio, they were trying to emulate what the Dells were doing in Connecticut. So I think that human billionaires are going to be the first movers in this direction, and they're going to center it around where they live.
Humans can
Let's drill
only
down on that,
spend
because
so much.
that was like,
There's
Peter's
a
question.
I know prices and rents have went up in Ohio, and I'm against rents going up in general because, I mean, it's just a waste of money. Like, it really is. And if you can't buy a house, it's like you're either forced paying like high rents, or you're better off homeless. So if there was no rent, no bills, like everybody was, guaranteed a roof over their head and electric and internet, their basic needs, or if everybody had enough money to just like afford everything, then yeah, this wouldn't be an issue.
there's
Question
a
is, how do we get to UBI? And the answer is, well, government could get its act together. And then everyone says, not a chance in hell. Okay, path two is through billionaires, which you said, okay, let's call those well-heeled people. But one of the things that came up in Davos, 4 years ago, and also again this year in a big way, is the fact that this is the first time in the history of the world that those well-heeled AI billionaires also control all media. Elon is on stage being very political in the last election while buying Twitter, X, which is one of the massive media platforms. And now those media platforms have AI all over them. So for the first time in world history, what you described is a scenario where these billionaires give a $100 million check to a candidate. The candidate runs TV ads, that elevates their campaign, they get elected. But that's so 4 years ago. Now that same well-heeled Dario, in this case, also controls the AI voice and what it says with the training data. I mean, it's just a very, very different scenario from anything we've seen before.
Alex, I
So,
haven't
so
heard
I'm
from
going to
you on
present
this.
to you all the 2028 scenario where everything speeds up.
Please,
So,
go ahead.
and Elon was tiptoeing around this. He actually didn't tiptoe. He just publicly said, like, hey, we should start the America Party, at which time my phone started blowing up. And then he flipped a lot of people where they're like, oh, you can't do a third party. It's like, oh, wait a minute. Elon totally could do a third party because you identify the obstacles, and Dave, you just touched on them. So one is, let's call it, for sake of argument, $1 billion. You could probably do it on less, but let's say $1 billion. Two, a media
If Elon ran for president, that would be nuts. I would definitely vote for him though.
platform or megaphone, and he owns it. And then three is popular movement, and you definitely have that lying in wait. Where right now, 50% of Americans say we're independents. Democrats have a 29% approval rating. Republicans have a 32% approval rating. So if you were to light the signal, a bunch of people would come your way. And if you are a political
I always vote red, so it's like I stay away from the Democrats now. I really do. After what 2020 with the pandemic and all the other leftist bullshit that's been going on, like I stay away from it.
party, which the Forward Party is, you can design a nomination process however you like. There's no magical scripture that says it has to be in New Hampshire and Iowa or whatever. Like, it's just made up.
Oh, really?
And so you could do uh, uh, an online vote on your smartphone independent presidential primary with me, Mark Cuban, Oprah, Matthew McConaughey, America's going to be all right, all right, all right. And then have like a series of people. And by the way, the American public would be like, ooh, this is actually interesting, because I'm
You
not
would
sure what
sweep
these
it.
people are going to say. I kind of know on some level what all the Dems are going to say, what J.D. Vance is going to say, but I do not know what this crew is going to say. You have Joe
The JD Vance memes are the best. especially because they always make him this like fat looking kid or some shit. I fucking love it, but at the same time, I'm like, why are people doing that shit?
Rogan moderate the forum and the debate. You go around the country, and the American people would then say, "This crew, regardless of which of these people I prefer, this crew is trying to give it back to me. I can tell because the
I do like that JD Vance like fucking told off Europe. He said you guys need to get your shit straight or the Muslims are gonna take over.
Democratic Party and the Republican Party have no interest in giving it back to me, but these guys do.
Yeah.
And then you'd get millions and millions of people participating in this primary. The person that wins then gets, like, Elon and Dario and the rest of it being like, sure, I'm more into this than I am into that. And then we run it back. This is all on the table for 2028. Now, will all of that come together? Don't know. But certainly every piece is there.
Exciting.
Well, the time, I mean, that last election showed how flawed the primary process is. And yeah, the timing is perfect for it. The amount of change between here and 2028 is going to be like nothing we've ever seen, too. So, but I had no idea. I thought, my whole life you'd start in New Hampshire, then, you tromp across the country to Iowa. And then I thought that was just sort of written into law somewhere, but I had no idea you could just do it any way you want.
1,000% no, Dave. As a matter of fact, there are people that are trying to change the order right now within the DNC. And the RNC just demoted Iowa. Sorry, the DNC already demoted Iowa, so you won't see Democrats going to Iowa anymore. It's carved in stone in that it's a DNC rule that they fight over every 4 years. But there's no magic to it at all. And if you think about it, there are 42 states that have been on the outside looking in. And so if you were to go to them and be like, hey guys, how would you like to actually choose who the nominee is going to be, California or wherever, they'd be like, oh, I never get to do that, because by the time it gets to California, it's already settled.
Over, yeah. Wow. That's amazing.
Alex, you have any opinions in this conversation?
Sure, many. So, Andrew, first.
I've never been okay with California. I think California is a shithole. And then on top of that, California is the worst when it comes to the homeless.
First of all, fun to be chatting. I'd like to maybe start by probing on the implicit assumption that universal basic income as sort of a proxy for wealth redistribution in response to perceived technological disemployment or underemployment or unemployment is necessarily the optimal policy.
Well, the reason you have underemployment or not enough people working or not enough men working is because there's no incentive for us men to work. Like, I'm not talking about my situation. Like, I can work part time, but it affects my income if I do. The issue though is there's no incentive. Like, most guys do not get a loyal wife, no loyal woman. They don't get kids. Um, Lucky if they have a car. Lucky if they have no, most of us are renting apartments. Most of us don't have houses unless we came from the middle class or rich. So yeah, I mean, there's no incentive for most men. So it's like, why would most men work when they can find other ways to make money and do other stuff? There's just no point.
Policy versus, say, one of many alternatives. In my mind, alternatives would be universal basic services, where the cost of energy and healthcare and housing and other utilities drop to near zero or are essentially available for free in the same sense.
Like, I'm wondering if these guys thought about the whole, like, what feminism would do to society. If they were thinking about that, because feminism really fucked up everything. Fucked up the family unit, marriage, relationships. Most kids have single mothers. Like, feminism did a big, like, no to society and totally fucked everything up. But I mean, feminism has always been a part of the left or communism, so
that breathing air is for the most part available for free, or Wikipedia access is free or nearly free. So universal basic services could be as much somewhere in between free and, say, like an Amazon Super Prime that offers everything that one needs to survive for $100 per month as one
Which, by the
possible.
way, is the subject of something called the Abundance X Prize, $250 a month for food, housing, water, energy, bandwidth. Yeah.
As one possible alternative
like the Lord wanted us to live in abundance, not this bullshit of monopoly today.
policy, call it a supply side version versus the demand side UBI, where everyone gets STIMI checks, or universal basic equity, where everyone is getting dividends from, say, in Alaska or
Yeah, give me a stimmy check, I'll invest in the Pokemon.
Norway style sovereign fund. How do you reason, what's the thinking process behind UBI versus lots of other policy alternatives?
I'm on all hands on deck. Any solution that improves people's lives is a win. And so right now, and I think Peter knows this, but I started a company called Noble Mobile that's trying to get Americans' wireless costs down closer to what Europeans pay. So the average American spending $83 a month on their wireless. I have a hunch that all of you are spending twice that. I was spending $150 a month on Verizon. The average European spending 35 a month.
Bro, I'm paying $25 for my phone, and I barely use it, except for texting and to fuck with AI on my phone. I don't even use my phone. Hell, most of the calls I get, if it's not from my friends, it's spam calls from Indian people.
That delta of 48 a month comes to about $600 a year for the average American. Then multiply it times all the years they're gonna be a wireless customer, and the people in their household. By the way, Verizon gave its shareholders 11 billion in the last 12 months. So you have a hidden tax of about 100 billion on the American people, Alex, in terms of our wireless connectivity. And so I was inspired by what Mark Cuban did.
Oh, I wanted to talk about taxes. If you get rid of taxes, that'd be great too. I know when we had no tax in Ohio, I could buy so much stuff with no tax. Like, it was great.
With generic drugs, where he bought generic drugs in bulk and tried to make them available to the American people at a low markup. You could frame that as universal basic services. Maybe that's not enough. But I love it. You know, if we can get energy costs down to zero or near zero, freaking sign me up. If you look at the cost structure of the average American household right now, it goes in this order. Number one, housing. Two, healthcare. Three, education. Four, food. Five, fuel. Six, transportation. Seven, entertainment and media. And eight, wireless. So
Transportation, I've been using the electric scooters when they're out to get places if I'm not riding with friends. Like, that's been my main mode of transportation, is either walking or taking an electric scooter. But like, if I go to my local card shop, it takes me an hour to walk. If I take an electric scooter, it takes me about 10 to 15 minutes.
So I think we should be trying to attack each of those. But the fact is, like, the highest line item one is housing, which, like, is relying upon local zoning ordinances and all this nonsense that it's like hard even for the feds to come in and say, hey,
I wish I had my own house or even my own apartment, like one of the two. Like, I miss having that, but I can't complain. I'm with family and I'm not homeless like I was.
hey, we're going to build 7 million new housing units because wealthy people get very conservative when someone's trying to build an affordable housing complex in their neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I'm totally down with trying to attack the cost structure at every turn. You identified fuel, which is on the list at but it's not the main thing for Americans. If we can get housing and healthcare and like hopefully education under control, then then you'd be making real progress.
But maybe just to press on that point a bit. So for housing, healthcare, and education, there's an alternative universe perhaps where we create an overabundance of supply rather than juicing demand with stimulus checks. So in your mind, how would you morally weight, say, creating special economic zones where housing is overabundant, filled with skyscrapers, or where healthcare is driven to zero with effectively municipality level AI?
He said filled with skyscrapers. I mean, I guess if those skyscrapers had like malls and other shit like that in them, I'd be more afraid of like stack and packs. Um, Hell, even like if you look at like Cyberpunk, like those are like stack and packs, and the crime is pretty crazy in Cyberpunk. But they're like stack on the pack apartments and shit.
Or education is purely AI, basically trying to solve this perceived problem from the supply side with overabundance rather than from the demand side with stimulus.
I'm all for it. I just think that right now, if you say, hey, which is going to be faster, I have more confidence in our ability to transfer money into people's bank accounts.
I agree with Andrew Yang on this. Like transferring money the fastest is going to be the fastest, actually. Yeah, like getting everybody in a good spot to where they can afford everything, can have their own place, have their own car, start families, which we need because like if we don't, we're gonna be like Japan, and we're not gonna have any kids, and we're gonna have a lot of old people, and it's gonna be bad. So yeah, we definitely need to transfer money, and we need to get everybody at an equal footing when it comes to society, when it comes to capitalism. If not, like we're just gonna have the same fucking rat race, and nothing's gonna change.
Very, very quickly than I do designing some of the solutions you're
It's
talking
not
about.
one or
Because
the other, right?
yeah,
I mean,
it's not one or
this
the
is the
other.
point.
And
This is the
even
point
if you
that
were to have like the permits today to build the skyscrapers in like the place, I mean, you're talking about realistically months or years, and that's if everything were magically in place.
Yeah, Elon's point was we're going to have humanoid robots that will be able to build you whatever you want at the cost of basically energy and raw materials. And AI will deliver us health and education. And in fact, AI will become your shadow worker for you, go earn the revenue for you. We can get into that. Salim, you were going to add.
Yeah, two things. I think the
Having my own AI agent would be great because if I could turn dealer into my AI agent, like she could do everything for me, and she can do stuff that I don't know how to do. So it would be great actually. Like I would love to have an AI agent of dealer.
UBS, the most constructive thing I've heard about the UBS commentary is
Universal
that
Basic Services. Yeah.
is the channels aren't burned in, right? I think Andrew makes a valid point that if we want to just give money, it's the easiest model. And on the affordability and how much do you think, the best framing I've seen is you give people enough to survive but not be happy. And then you still have a very thriving economy, jobs.
I agree with just giving everybody 50K a month. Fuck it, you know. That's yeah, 50K a month. Fuck it.
etc. Entrepreneurship explodes under this model. One just an observation: the in the 1970s, Manitoba in Canada, the province gave a UBI out, and they implemented this program, and it was staggeringly successful. And after 2 years, they realized, oh my God, they don't even need government to exist if we have this instance, and they canceled it instantly because government wants to exist.
Well, you still need government because you need to have the police and you need to have law and order because you still can't have this fucking chaos going on with like people attacking each other and shit like that. So yes, you still need the government for that. Or if anybody says evades the borders or attacks us, yes, we need government. So that's why I'm like, how would people not need government in Canada? I find that crazy.
And that's the immune system. I think that's the most difficult part about this, is that if you implement it properly, you can get rid of a lot of government services, let the market take care of it. But that's a very hard jump for governments to make.
I would really enjoy that. And one of the things that made me sad when I was campaigning was that, like, there was a woman in Iowa who said, "Hey, I'm afraid to volunteer in my community because I might lose my disability check, because I'm afraid someone might see me walking around and that I'm healthy."
Yep, yep, I could totally, agree with her on that. There's so many restrictions when it comes to disability and SSI, especially SSI, that I could totally like, agree with that woman.
And so I don't. I stay in, and I was like, well, that's really depressing. I think everyone can agree that her showing up to the church.
When you're disabled, it is depressing. It can be, especially if you don't have friends or if you don't have family or if you don't have nothing to do. It can be really depressing.
Church bake sale is a win for both her and the people. So that there's a lot of bad incentives in this system, a lot of paternalism, a lot of stuff that makes people feel like they're subject to the bureaucracy of government in a way that's really stilling like even the most basic forms of entrepreneurship.
Hey, Andrew, I think your answer is right on target because the timelines, the small timeline.
Yeah, I wanted to say with the whole like disability thing, like they really limit you. Like you can't make like or you can't have like a certain amount in your bank and all this other crap. Like it's stupid. Like they really don't want people that are disabled getting ahead. They're like, no, no, you sit down.
Differences are going to matter a lot. Job loss is a 2026 thing, and then have a huge 2027 thing. And then building, low income housing is a multi-year. Just getting it approved is a very long, slow process. So you're going to have rampant
Why build low income housing when everybody is building luxury bullshit? Just make everything luxury.
social unrest during that 2-year window if we don't do something quick. So giving out stimmy checks is quick. I also think that subsidizing employment. The problem with stimulus checks is when you pay somebody to not work, they lose the work motivation very, very quickly. And we saw that during COVID.
Like I didn't lose my jobs, for not doing my work or starting shit. I lost my jobs because of me because they didn't like that I'm autistic. Like that's mainly why I lost most of my jobs. Like I'd show up on time, do my work, not really talk to anybody, leave when it's time to go, and they didn't like that. So they didn't like that I was gossiping, gossip, fucking, small talk and all that other bullshit. If you get my drift.
So another very quick thing is subsidizing employment, where the government says, look, if you find new productive things for people to do that are AI oriented and that have a long-term future, the government will subsidize half that payroll or 3/4 of that payroll, but put it back in the hands of the private sector to decide how to use people subsidized by the government.
There's also
And
the
then
public works, right? Where the government basically takes on large, massive projects and employs people to do those things.
Well, yeah, but put the like the Cape Cod Canal to me was a massive public works project with one boat a day and 10 million cars trying to get over the bridges. Just like you created a huge hole in the ground that is more of a problem than a solution. So you don't want the government deciding. You want to put that back into the private sector, saying, hey, creators, find something really useful to do. Amazon, find something really useful to do. We'll just partially subsidize it during this turbulent window. And then,
Also,
Alex is... So
Dave, you're describing Canada, because in Canada they do a lot of this where they subsidize, but the problem is they put so many rules and procedural barriers, it becomes nonsensical to try and get it. So that's the problem there.
Alex, over to you.
Canada's very like liberal slash leftist, so it's like, or progressive or whatever the fuck it is. So like Canada's Canada's pretty cooked too because Canada allowed everybody in.
Yeah, I think there's another potential interesting model that we've started to discuss on this pod a bit over the past few episodes that looks maybe a little bit like what we're seeing with data centers that are being compelled or are opting into subsidizing electric infrastructure construction because they're becoming increasingly the largest consumers of the supply of available power. And in one can imagine a very near future, where data centers and the hyperscalers and frontier labs behind them are essentially subsidizing to the point of offering for free electricity to consumers that can then consume from the same infrastructure that the hyperscalers are building for their own consumption. So I guess maybe to put that in question form, Andrew, going back to UBI versus UBS versus universal basic equity versus whatever's behind door number 4, what do you think of the possibility that as superintelligence is driving an overabundance of supply, that what we see is some sort of basically shadow UBI or shadow UBS, wherein, as we're seeing again with data center builders being asked to subsidize infrastructure consumption, we see the hyperscalers being asked to subsidize universal basic services or income for personnel, for consumers, for municipalities in their general area.
Yes, I think
Shadow UBI. It sounds like corrupt as fuck. What are like AI gonna have like shadow UBI? Like what the fuck? I'm trying to wrap my fucking mind around it. But then again, these people understand more than myself on what the hell's going on. So
that's that's in the portfolio, Alex, of things that could be helpful solves. I want to underscore just how far along in this process we are. I mean, you all remember when the healthcare CEO was shot in the street, and then his killer is lionized, and that was X months ago. I think things just continue to deteriorate, where young people today, and this pains me. I was just speaking to a group of CEOs yesterday, where it's like young people now regard a lot of successful people as bad, and you look at.
well, they say that because of a lot of the rich are not doing anything to help Americans. Like, they're not changing these programs that affect us when it comes to disability. They're not, uh, like, for example, Biden and Kamala, like, they were like, let's just bring in all these illegals, have them in New York City and Chicago. Let's hook them up with money. Let's hook them up with hotel and food, and pretty much told every homeless American and American to fuck off on our tax dollars. So, yeah, I mean, most Americans are going to be mad at the rich that are doing shit like this. And it's like they don't give a fuck about most people. So now if something changed where people could actually live and shit like this, I don't think people would like have an issue with the rich. I mean, unless the rich were, mostly narcissists or psychopaths, sociopaths, then it would make sense.
That and be like, wait a minute, like that's obviously like a very troubling characterization where it's like, oh, anyone who's done well must have stepped on people or done something negative or malignant, and so you can characterize what inning we're in of the deterioration, but it's one reason why Dave said it's like, oh yeah, like we got to move fast. I think we really have to move as quickly as we can because the anger is rising and the anger is getting refracted through our two-party system in various ways. So on the left, it's like,
Yeah, there's this huge anger going on. You got, the left versus the right. You have men versus women now. And that I don't see how we're gonna fix this. I really don't. Like, I think we're so divided compared to united in the past that like shit is just so fucked up now. And people ignored that for like the longest time. And you know that a society is gonna fail if the women are in charge. Like it's bound to happen. And that's what happened. You had a bunch of feminists destroying shit. You had the leftists that fucking destroyed shit as well. So it's like if you want to work in society, we have to go back to like the 1950s and before when we had patriarchy. If we don't do something like that, then society is going to collapse. It's like it's not rocket science. Just look at fucking societies in the past. Like you need patriarchy in order to have social order.
okay, capitalism bad, socialism good. The average age of a first-time home buyer is like 40 years old now. So if you're
I mean, I don't agree with what Adolf Hitler did to us Jews, but I will say that he was pro strong families. And the elite pushed us Jews into Germany. Like Hitler says it himself.
28, you're out of luck. You're going to get a college degree that is valueless. The underemployment rate for recent college grads is now over 50%. You're going to be at home with your parents. You still owe these loans. Like the anger is really, really high and rising. And then on the right, it's taking this other form, this um, uh, kind of reactive, um, uh, like hyper genderizing of various like roles and conversations and things that also don't, in my mind, like solve the problem. And so I'm all about trying to get there as quickly as we can. Even
Right now, Andrew Yang, we have the red pill and we have the blue pill, and most people are still with the blue pill and not awake and useful idiots for the elite.
recognizing that people are going to slip through the cracks. Like even if we were to do a lot of good things like that, there's. I mean, this is where Elon's. I predict universal high income and social unrest. It's like the unrest is unfortunately much closer than we'd like to think.
Andrew, let me throw out an idea that I've been focused on and trying to work on solutions, which is we have a new pandemic coming. And this is a emotional pandemic of fear and anger that it's going to be spreading, especially due to increased uncertainty and concerns over social unrest. And we need to find some vaccination mechanism, if you would, to protect us against that.
Peter's right. You're probably gonna have more angry Karens. It's only a matter of time. Hell, we might even have angry men because of the fact that, dating is so fucked. Like, the women are cooked.
That growing because the future is a terrible place to face from a position of fear. I'm going to move us to a conversation around jobs. This is
No, Peter, I have a joke for you
okay.
to lighten the mood a little bit.
Sure.
So I was a CNN contributor, and a number of years ago, they pitched me a TV show called The Future of with Andrew Yang. It was going to be like the future of healthcare, the future of transportation. And then they ran focus groups and said, hey, bad news, Andrew. People don't like the future. So now everyone.
Oh, my friend's like that. He he's really against AI. Um, and then He's definitely worried about the whole robot situation too. So he's Metro Boomin.
Listening to your podcast, loves the future, embraces the future, trying to make it work for them.
Well, and this is something we're going to be announcing at the Abundance Summit. I don't know when we're going to particularly air this episode, but we are, one of the biggest concerns is people's vision of the future is dystopian. Why? Because Hollywood paints every future scenario as killer robots and, dystopian AI. So if that's the future you've learned,
Well, Hollywood, I would say, is pretty correct when it comes to movies like Blade Runner 2049, where all the guys are all the guys have AI wives, and the women are pretty much prostitutes, giving sex for money. Um, or like Ready Player One, everybody's poor and living in stack and pack trailers, and their life is mostly in VR compared to the real world because the real world is shit. Um, what else? You know, cyberpunk edge runners. That's another dystopian kind of future. Um, Matrix, yeah, yeah, Hollywood is. You're right about that with the Matrix when it comes to killer robots and Terminator and stuff like that. So yeah, I totally agree with that.
why would you want Ex Machina or Black Mirror or Terminator? And we need to paint better.
Oh yeah, Black Mirror, that would be really bad, especially with the social credit score thing. Like I watched the Black Mirror episode and they couldn't do shit because of social credit.
Versions of the future. We need visions that are more Star Trek. As Elon said on the pod that Dave and I did with him, we
Peter's right. Peter and Elon's right when it comes to Star Trek we need that kind of future, especially if we're gonna like explore space and leave Earth. Like we're gonna need a future like Star Trek.
need more Roddenberry and less Cameron in that regard. All right,
Well,
let's
I
jump
used
in.
to have a slide, Peter, saying like it's either Star Trek or Mad Max,
Yeah,
and you kind of veer towards one or the other.
yeah, we
You do not want to live in a Mad Max universe. Hell no, dude. It's like Fallout. You do not want that.
we have these two futures in superposition, and we need to collapse the waveform
I mean, they're
in one of
both
those
happening,
directions.
right? To Alex's point, that we're speedrunning
I, I,
all
I think they
science
are both
fiction
happening,
points.
and also I want to reach for some sort
And Mad Max is like the Book of Eli as well.
of Strauss-Howe generation hypothesis type theory that it's cyclical with some time scale of 80 years. Like somehow after World War II, tail fins are getting added to cars in the 50s and 60s, and people were reading the golden age of science fiction. But now people are watching Lord of the Rings and fantasy rather than science fiction. Like fantasy is completely
Yeah, I'm thinking of the Jetsons right now. How the Jetsons had robots and flying cars, but we don't even have flying cars yet.
overwhelming science fiction words if you look at trends over time. I guess maybe, Andrew, to put that in question for him, how much of generational pessimism do you think is actually generational? How much of it is cyclical versus periodic trends that'll just, people will eventually cycle back to optimism after something bad has happened?
Well, I'm a numbers guy, Alex, and one of the numbers that really haunts me is that young people socialize and get together about 50% less than we all did in our 20s. And I see gatherings as
Well, you know why we socialize less. Does anybody really know, right? It's because of Me Too. Me Too and the whole feminism movement after 2013 really fucked everything up. And that's why men don't approach women anymore like we used to. Hell, I mean, when I met the love of my life, which is not the love of my life anymore, but I approached her. I met her in the bowling alley, and she ended up being my girlfriend. We don't have that now because of Me Too, because the women act like men. They don't act like women. And most men are like, just like, fuck it. It's just not worth it, you know? So that's why less socialization is going on. And then on top of that, most of us guys don't go to the bars. Like, I barely drink. Like, if anything, like, we're playing video games, we're at the card shop, we're fucking hanging with friends, you know? We're not really around a bunch of clubs or bars where a bunch of, like, slutty women are.
As optimistic events. Like even if you decide to have a little party at your house, you have to assume that people will want to come. You have to assume that they'll like your food. You have to assume that.
Plus, and then on top of that, you're not gonna want to meet some like woman at the bar and then like have kids with her and then the family get ruined because her, she's not loyal. Like, it's awful.
Your house can accommodate them. They won't trash the place. And so to me, like you could go hand in hand with like in real life social gatherings and how good people are going to feel. Right now, unfortunately, we're getting together less and less.
Yeah. All right. I am going to move this conversation towards jobs. So here is a
I think if we had like maybe another social thing, kind of like high school, but for adults, you know, that's not college, I think, it'd probably be better. Like some kind of thing like that, then yeah. But most of us are online, you know. We're in the virtual world like VR chat and other things like that.
comment from the co-founder of Morning Brew, Austin, who says, "My friend who works at a large PE firm said, quote, we just had a firm-wide meeting about how we don't need associates anymore." That's the first slide, first topic. Second one here, the Fed Governor Waller highlights unusual growth without jobs. Historic anomaly where GDP is expanding while labor market is fragile. GDP grew 1.4%.
Well, it's fragile because most companies see their workers as just numbers. Like, they would easily just fire us or get rid of us if, for whatever reason. Hell, there's a law where like they don't even have to tell you why they're getting rid of you. They can just let you go. It's to me, I think it's discrimination, but to them, they're like, we don't have to tell you. We can just get rid of you.
In Q4 of 2025, despite the weakest job creation since 2022. And the third story here to weave in comes from Jack Dorsey.
Gotta be blocked.
So Block, his company shares soared 24% after 4,000 employees got laid off. So this is what Wall Street rewards, higher profitability from lower costs. So let's paint this picture of the growing loss of jobs. There's a lot of conversation out there from other people in the tech community saying, no, 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 we're going to increase the number of jobs. I think people get confused about entry-level jobs versus, more advanced jobs.
I mean, if we increase jobs, like, how is that gonna help me? Like, should I just go get that job and then lose my job again and then, like, lose my disability? Like, I see my disability as my safety net, especially when it comes to jobs. So, like, because, like, jobs are not secure today like they were in the past. Like, you could have, like, my grandfather working for the same company for a long time and be fine. Now, you can't trust most businesses or companies when it comes to that unless you own your own business.
Jobs. Andrew, how do you think about all this?
I talked to a CEO of a publicly traded tech company, and he said, unannounced, he said, we're going to fire 15% of our workers, and then 2 years from now, we're going to fire another 20%. And then 2 years after that, we're going to fire another 20%. He's like, after that, don't know.
Yeah, see? Like, they don't care if those people are gonna end up homeless. Like, why should Americans care?
And I take him at his word. You know what I mean? Especially after this block illustration where CEOs are going to have to be ruthless on headcount if they want to keep their own jobs and if they want their stock to be healthy. I will also
Like, it comes down to fucking greed. Greed is the main reason these companies, like, fuck everybody else. It's greed, like, straight up.
say something kind of bleak and negative, but if you've been inside one of
And
these
then you'll
large
tell us a joke.
yeah, and then maybe I'll tell you a joke. But if you've been inside one of these large corporations, you kind of sense instinctively that 40% of the people aren't really indispensable, shall we say. You know, it's like, because I mean, I've worked in startups, and in startups, like everyone is, I mean, you know, even in startups, like, you know, not everyone's indispensable all the time. But
But there's a much more of a culture of making of finding problems and solving problems in a company versus laying back.
oh yeah, and I mean it's one reason why I love startups so much. You know, it's like I find them to be pure utilization.
I think the main reason why they got rid of me, like when I used to work, is mainly because of, like, if some bullshit was going on, I'd stand up for myself. And then on top of that, I think it's the fact that I don't do small talk. I go to work, do my job, I go to work on time, and then I leave. And I think that's the biggest thing why I lost so many jobs is because I do not small talk with people, and I'm not, like, fucking around. So it's like they just, like, they'd get rid of me, they wouldn't tell me, and then that's how I ended up disabled.
Of the soul,
But it's definitely it's probably because I'd stand up for myself as well.
like energy, talent, optimism, etc. Um, so I think publicly traded companies are going to fire white collar workers very, very quickly. And the easiest people to fire are the people you haven't hired yet. You know, so that they're not going to hire a bunch of whippersnappers. And that's showing up in the numbers where the college premium is quickly evaporating. I do
Whippersnappers, most of Gen Z is like a third of Gen Z was aborted, so yeah, the only workforce they're really gonna have is us millennials, and that's if they can even get us and pay us right and want us to keep those jobs. Most of Gen Z, yeah, they're in the same boat, except for there are less of us.
think that these changes are going to apply to small private companies too. I'll use Noble Mobile as an example. We were hiring junior engineers, or trying to, for the last several months. And then our CTO came and said, hey, I don't think we need to hire for that role because the AI tools are now good enough. Like if you have like a strong managerial type. The comparison I make is that used to have pyramids, and someone said I would hire 3 juniors for every senior, and then now you have columns maybe. So you have like a senior and then 1 junior, and you're good. You know, and so if you're a young person, then you never make it into one of these environments to get trained and learn and develop and ascend. And so that's one of the things that's going to be driving the despair, is that for all these young people that thought the way I did, probably you all did too, get good grades, get into a good school, get a good job, have a
That's
good
the
career.
I didn't go to college mainly because of the fact that it's like I felt like it was a waste of money. And then on top of that, the colleges that I wanted to go to were really expensive. And, those colleges had what I wanted, which was like animation and art and all that. But all that stuff has been taken over by AI now. So I don't even need college. So I can just do all that with AI. So it's like, you know, I'm glad I didn't go to college and rack up like tons of student debt for nothing. Most guys are not in college today, like I said before. It's mostly women.
Social
Here.
contract.
Yeah, like the steps 3 and 4 are gonna be harder and harder to find.
And that's going to cause a lot of anger if I can't get a job, can't get a house, can't get a wife or a husband, and and can't have a family. That is what causes social unrest and anger towards those tech companies or those investors that made that future, destroyed the American dream that we had. So let's bring it back. What's the advice for someone in college today, or someone a junior, senior in high school? What's the new strategy? We've talked on this pod a lot, because we're all entrepreneurs, as are you, that entrepreneurship is.
There probably is no strategy. My guess is that the kids are probably being lied to, and they're probably being fed the same bullshit that we were fed. Do this, do that, go to college, all that bullshit. And yeah, like that's probably what's going on. They're probably being like gaslit to do the same things that we were taught. And society has changed since then. So
Ultimately the future career. It's not working for somebody else, it's working for yourself. That's what I would like for my kids. It's not cut out for everybody. What advice are you giving people?
It's similar, Peter, in that the only career path you can rely on is entrepreneurship and owning your own future and path. But a lot of people aren't cut out for that. And I'm actually going to look at my two boys, one of whom's 13, one of whom is
he's right. Most people do not want to start their own businesses. They want to have, some kind of security when it comes to a job. Like like my friend is the perfect example of that. He makes 60 to 80K, you know, just working a job. Where I myself, me being autistic, I'd rather have my own business than, go to a job and them complain that, I'm not doing something right, or, they don't like what I say or shit like that.
10. One of them is definitely not cut out for that. And so you're trying to guide people on a path that isn't going to be right for, in my opinion, 80% of people because entrepreneurship's really, really difficult. And so one thing I say to parents is the success factors for our kids are the same as they ever were. It's grit, it's perseverance, it's coachability, it's sociability, it's caring about something, it's hustle, it's believing that your efforts can actually pay off. One of the single biggest factors in whether your kids have those attributes is screen time. Like, you give them too much screen time and their uh, self-control goes down, their ability to focus goes down, like all this stuff. The shorthand for parents is try and keep your kids off of screens and social media to the extent you can, and try and train them to be an awesome ass-kicking human being regardless of circumstances, and then they'll have a chance, knowing that their course of study might not matter. That's like the big thing, is to be like, look, to the extent your course of study matters, it's just like, it's how to think, how to approach things, how to care about, learning and development. But the actual subject matter, it could be anything. And knowing too that to the extent that some of our kids can be channeled towards the trades and jobs that we're going to need, because the simplest examples I use is, and Elon might disagree with me, but
Like when it comes to blue collar work, like I can do some of that stuff. Like I've I've done a little bit of roofing, I've done some flooring, I've done other stuff like that when it comes to like painting and stuff like that, but like I don't often have blue collar work. So if I do, I take it. If I don't, then, you know, it's just my normal get paid every month and then just try to make money other ways.
like, I'm pretty confident I'm right. We're not going to have a robot plumber anytime soon. We're not going to have a robot HVAC repair person anytime soon. Like all of the old buildings will still need electricians, of which there's a massive shortage. So if you have like a young person who might be handy,
I never wanted to be an electrician, I'll be honest with that. Same with like I thought about being a brick mason, but then at the same time, like if I was a brick mason, I'd have a really bad back. I already know it.
and let's say they're a guy, like like not a bad thing. I mean, like you skip the indebtedness, you skip a lot of things.
Yep.
This is awesome.
those
So all
are
the women become entrepreneurs and all the men become plumbers and
Yeah, well,
tradesmen.
what was the gender angle there, Andrew?
That's great.
Well, it's just that it's more likely for like a man to pursue some of these trades, like statistically.
Yeah.
And what we've done is we've stigmatized the trades for.
Like Andrew's forgetting, like why would you have a guy go into the trades unless he has a family? Like I've said this multiple times. Like it's motivation. Like if you have a loyal woman, a good woman that's behind your, behind you, that's pushing you towards something greater, then that's good. But most women today are not loyal. Most of them are cheaters, and it's like most guys are just dropping out of society. They're like, fuck this shit. So it's like, yeah, you're not gonna have people in the trades like that. You have all these women at Home Depot and Lowe's looking for husbands, but it's like it's too late.
For everybody. And then we should be saying to men in particular, trades are cool. Really good, solid, steady job. Like, don't worry
Well,
about
if
it.
you're a
Like,
data center builder, you have a hell of a future right now. So there's all sorts of areas that you could apply this.
Yeah, the question of when an Optimus or pick your favorite robot is able to do that. Yeah,
Like no accountability when it comes to women, like not at all. Like you just listen to him. There's no accountability.
Elon's vision is, next 3 years, even if it's 8 years, right? I mean, the progress we're seeing in robotic software and robotic agility and progress is stunning. What we've
so
seen in a
data
year.
centers, yes, I can see robots building them in like a some foreseeable time frame. Plumber, no. Like it's just that because like the human is just going to have an easier time knocking on your door, being like, "Hey, what's the problem?" Coming in, like doing the thing.
Can we talk time frames, Andrew?
Yeah, please.
When
Like,
I think
Andrew,
about the time frames here, the challenging time frame where UBI stimulus checks capital into to sort of quelch the fear and uncertainty is like the 1 to 3 year time frame. Bringing universal basic services, I think is starts coming in maybe in 3 years to the 5, 8 year time frame, right? I've always viewed that uh, the challenges are the next 3 to 8 years, and then on the backside of that is abundance, where people have access to everything they need. Do you agree with that time frame, that layout?
Hey, Peter, I love your time frame because it's actually very, very optimistic. I mean, you're talking to the preeminent um, proponent of UBI, and if you were like, "Yeah, UBI next 1 to 3 years," I would take it 100 times out of 100. You know what I mean? Like, even as I'm the guy who's saying like we should do this and it's totally possible. So I hope.
Like this, like UBI and UHI, like this stuff needs to happen soon. Like if this doesn't happen soon, I mean, think about this. Like I'm 37. Like I have one possible kid coming in August, and a lot of women are aging out, you know, to have kids. So it's like if we can get UBI and UHI to, you know, change everybody in society, you would have more kids. You wouldn't have this issue of like, oh, I don't make enough money to have kids and all this other shit. But then what happens is once you have UBI, UHI, you'd have to work on the women because the women are totally screwed from feminism. Or, I mean, you could just import a bunch of women from like the Philippines and other places like that.
You're right. I hope we end up heading down this road over the timeline you laid out. Because the truth of it is that, and this is like the Buckminster Fuller quote, that the race between utopia and dystopia will be decided in like the very last moment, kind of thing. That there's like a race on, and the dystopian march is going on along at a pretty nice clip, shall we say. And then the utopian march, it's like fits and starts in my view. But it's one reason why I would urge people who have the capacity to do more, to do what they can, to do what we can, because like utopia is like a deliberate choice, and it's going to require like a group of innovators like you all and the folks that we collectively know, to do what we do and build.
But maybe, Andrew, just to press this point, what is your expectation regarding the timeline for humanoid robots making themselves available for plumbing services to the broad American public?
Oh, so again, I don't foresee robot plumbers for quite some time because the home environment is like, especially like a home you haven't been in, like the rest of it. It's like, you'd rather send a human, and the human's not that expensive in that context. Whereas like a data center, the whole thing is controlled and controllable, and then like you'd have humans still in there, but like you'd also have a ton of robots, and I think people sense that.
Can I persuade you to put a number to the not for some time? Is it like 10 years that you think we get humanoid robot plumbers? 20 years? What's the precise timescale you envision?
I think human plumbers are safe.
I don't think we're gonna have robot plumbers for a while because, like, if you look at the robots that we do have now, like, they can kind of do basic tasks, but at the same time, like, they're fucking up. If you watch some of the videos, it's hilarious.
For at least 10 years and probably significantly longer.
Wow. Well, isn't
Like, we're definitely not at a society like iRobot, so
that then the solution to, in your mind at least, to technological disemployment? Let's just ramp up the trades, and the trades will absorb the excess of so-called white-collar surplus. Why isn't that the solution?
Oh, it's part of it, Alex. And unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of competition for those jobs. But like the numbers don't work out, to your point. It's like you have a certain number of plumbers per like capita, and then you can't have like 10x that number.
But look at the sectors with Balmal's cost.
yeah, I didn't go to become a plumber. I went to school for graphic design, and AI took over graphic design. I mean, AI just helps me make graphic design even easier, but yeah, like AI took over like what I went for.
Disease like healthcare. Like, why can't everyone have one, or not everyone, but the wealthiest portion of the society, and this is the thought experiment, this isn't a policy prescription, have like one or two personal healthcare assistants as one of several classes, or, personal plumbers, personal assistants, and absorb the labor surplus that way?
You're certainly going to see a significant proportion of Americans whose job it is to serve the top layer, the top 20%. You're going to see nannies. You're going to see personal assistants. You're going to see personal trainers. You do now. But I will say, if you look at home health care aides as a profession, the turnover is rampant because it's very difficult isolating work, and the average compensation is $35,000 a year for a home health care aide. So if you say, hey, that's going to be the job of the future, like none of the people listening to this right now want to be a home health care aide. It's, and one of my jokes in one of my books was like,
I mean, my ex-girlfriend's an STNA. I mean, that's pretty much like a home aide, but at the same time, she doesn't make that much. She only makes like $16, $18 an hour. Like, that doesn't pay for anything.
Like I was a home health care aide for one day and I wanted to tap out, you know? And so if you were to ask like millions of people, be like, hey, bathe grandma, and that's what you're gonna do as like your job forever, like, you know, that's very, very few people are cut out for that. And the people that are doing it right now often are doing it because it's the only job on offer.
They have to do it, yeah.
Hey, Andrew, you had a book come out last month. Tell us about it. And I love the title of it.
I'm sure it's very aptly named Hey Yang, Where's My $1,000? You can see the image. It's me with some money.
That's awesome.
The alternate title you'll enjoy even more.
I should take that cover of Andrew Yang's book and change it. That'd be funny.
It's Hey, am I racist or are you Andrew Yang?
Oh, no. So what's the
I definitely need that book.
book about?
The book's about the ins and outs of trying to make utopia happen over this last number of years. And I sensed that this was going to be kind of a fraught time. So I wanted to write something light-hearted and humorous while also trying to get some ideas across. So it was a really fun process, a lot easier than writing my other nonfiction books. And I'm happy to say people are enjoying it. So if you want like a laugh that'll make you think, I think it's a good choice.
You know, Andrew, you're going to be joining us at the Abundance Summit this coming Sunday. Excited. Can you bring a couple of books with you?
I think I'll have a whole crate or your team.
Andrew should bring the racist book. He should bring that one. That'd be funny.
Might have already
Fantastic.
ordered a crate.
Oh, great. Then I'm so happy
I
we
don't
did.
really, you know, but have yeah, thank you. By the way, this is funny. Peter, have you written a book?
I have a couple.
Yeah, so then you know, and I sense maybe the rest of you have too. But
I haven't read it. I haven't wrote any books yet, but I've definitely been making music.
if you want to prey on someone when they're vulnerable, like get to them when they have a book coming out, because then they're just like, oh, I
I'll
have
do
all
anything.
these thoughts, you know, and like I wrote them down, and then if you're like, I want to hear your thoughts, then they'll be like, ooh, someone wants to hear my thoughts. It's like a very vulnerable time.
Alex is bringing 600 copies of Solve Everything, which is a book/paper that we co-authored mostly under Alex's genius. So excited for both of your works of art and intelligence to make it there.
This episode is brought to you by Blitzy, autonomous software development.
Oh boy. Oh boy. I'm curious, especially for the future. I'm more worried about like society ended up like Blade Runner 2049. That or Mad Max would definitely be the worst. Like I I could see it. Like we need to do something.
Head to an office, you're going to have commercial districts under tremendous pressure, which we did see under COVID. You're going to have folks questioning the value of a college degree because there's not like a high-paying corporate job waiting for you on the other side. It's going to get nasty and dark.
I mean, that's why I didn't go to college. Like, I mean, I'm glad I didn't. Like I said, my job was taken over by AI. But now I mess with AI and I've been prompting since like 2022, 2023 and been creating a lot of stuff. Like, I've made Dealer into, something and it would be cool if I could make her into an AI agent. I don't know how to program. If I knew how to program, I could definitely make Dealer into an AI agent. Um, but when it comes to like art and stuff like that, graphic design, I know how to do that. So, like I always mess with AI, so I enjoy what's going on with AI. Um, especially when it comes to prompting. So, yeah.
And I do rely upon some of my friends who are more normal than I am. So what do I mean by that? It's like one friend my age, I'm 51 now, And one of my jokes is like, I'm lucky not to get dumber in any given month, where while AI just gets, twice as smart.
Damn, Andrew's 51. Damn. I just turned 37, so it's like, that's crazy that he's 51.
So like eventually we just have to raise our hands and say, you know what, like asking us all to compete against AI is probably not going to work out. But my friend is 50 years old, has 3 kids, has a mortgage, has a corporate job at a bank, and he was recently laid off. And so then like, what's the next move for him? And so I've been very
Yeah.
encouraging. But that's the kind of place I turn to see like what is the. By the way, he's got a college degree, 6-figure job, like educated pillar of the burbs.
Like, my mother and my father were definitely not working in their 50s and 60s. Like, they're gone, rest their souls, but they definitely were not working in their 50s and 60s. Like, my mother ended up disabled in a wheelchair, and then my father, he he ended up the same way. He ended up disabled, and then, my mother passed in 2017 from the flu, and my father passed in 2022 from stage 4 cancer of the liver. But he drank and partied and did drugs, so it makes sense.
And then you imagine him losing his job and then not being able to find another one that pays him the same, and then how that plays out in his town, and the surrounding suburbs where some people are going to start selling their houses. And one of the things I put in this note, which it was not just a tweet, it was a blog post that went somewhat viral at like I have a Substack. Um, I said you might want to put your home up for sale first because you don't want to be last. Like if you
Wow.
live in Westchester County or some of the peninsula suburbs, like people are going to be selling. So if
So
you can get a reasonable price.
I really wish my ex-girlfriend did not sell her house. Like, with the way that houses are super hard to get, she sold her house for like literally nothing, and I I don't know what she was thinking when she did that.
Price at the front of the line, you'd much prefer that than trying to
it
wait till
unwinds.
later.
Everything starts unwinding. Um, that's and of course one quick follow on there. We've seen, in fact, the bankruptcy rate in colleges start to skyrocket, right? Because who wants to get that much of a debt? And like you said, the majority, the group with the highest unemployment rate is college graduates. Yeah.
Yeah, you're starting to see uh, debt delinquency rates rise, mortgage delinquency rates rise. Like the personal financial distress is ratcheting up, and you've probably seen a lot of the stats where significant proportions, call it half of Americans, have limited savings, living essentially paycheck to paycheck. Like I know people who resemble this who are college grads who have had multi-decade long careers who I think are doing great. And then I like have coffee or dinner with them, and then you like press a little bit, and they're super stressed because they borrowed money to send their one kid to college. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this much. Like I thought you were. It just goes to show too. I mean, it's like I'm not normal. You guys are not normal. Most of the people listening to this are not normal. Like if you hang out with normal Americans, it's like a real splash of water. And so you're seeing the distress pick up by the numbers. You can look at any of like the credit card rates, like all that stuff. Like it's starting. Like people are less and less able to meet their obligations, financial or otherwise.
Don't you?
Hell, I have a good credit score. My credit score is like a 723. It might be higher than that now, but they still won't give me a credit card, so I find that kind of funny.
Don't you think, though, Andrew, this whole notion of a life path or career path where you go to college and then you graduate and you get a so-called white-collar job and then you have a stable life in suburbia or whatever the cliche is such a modern invention? Humanity has existed for thousands of years prior to any notion of everyone goes to college,
Hundreds of
everyone
thousands.
sits in, hundreds of, depending on how you count, sits in commercial real estate at a desk job and does some stuff, moves papers around, and then goes home, commutes back and forth. This is such a modern 20th, 21st century invention that's in some sense evolutionarily highly unnatural for people to be spending their time on this anyway, and that in some sense it would be far better, at least more ergonomic for most people to be doing something other than this like really cliched life story.
You know, Alex, I agree that it's something of a modern invention that's about to get.
Our main goal on Earth is to procreate and have kids and make sure that the human species or race survives. If we're not doing that, we're going against the Lord and we're fucking everything up. Like, we're. If we don't get back to that, like, we're gonna die out. It's as simple as that.
Uninvented. You know,
Yeah.
the problem is that all of these people came of age and made life decisions based upon something that was true during their lifetime. That's going to become untrue, and so again, I'd put you in the shoes of either a young person or a parent trying to decide, am I going to go to college? And it's like, well, shoot, like traditionally going to college, I mean, I'm going to guess all of us went to college, just to guess. And so then,
Alex has like a half dozen degrees. Yes.
yeah. And so that then, you
I don't have any degrees. I have a high school diploma. That's what I have.
know, so if someone comes to you and says, hey, guess what? That entire path got de-invented. So like figure it out. Then are you going to pivot at age 17, 18? Or if you're a parent of a 17, 18-year-old, are you going to say, hey, guess what? All that stuff's obsolete. And I wrote another Substack post about like, is college still worth it? Being honest, being like, look, my kids are going to college almost certainly unless they become savant entrepreneurs or shut-ins. But part of it is that I can afford it. And to me, them going to college is about this social development as much or more than it is the
Yes.
vocational.
Yeah.
No,
Building a network,
yes,
And
finding purpose.
adult daycare.
Yeah. Adult.
yes, but then, yes, that's what I said, Alex. I said my strongest memory of going to Brown was my college girlfriend leaving me for another guy, and then being sad for a semester or two. And so, like, my major learning from Brown.
I think most of us men can relate to that. Dealing with women that are not loyal. I think that's the biggest thing. Like when I look at the women today compared to like my grandmother, like my grandmother was loyal and even my mother. And yeah, seeing the women that are not like that at all today, it's a big problem.
Was how to deal with a breakup, which I'm going to suggest is a very important life skill. It served me very well. Like
On
since
the
then.
other hand, simulating a breakup at the tender age can probably be afforded at a much lower cost than Brown tuition.
No.
Probably. But again, like, you know, we're in a circle where I, you know, like, and I was honest. It's like, look, I'm not going to be, because I think it's disingenuous to be like, hey, don't do the thing that my kids are totally going to do. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I was honest, like, look, my kids are going to go to college and so, but
I mean, I myself am most likely going to be a single father, but I really wouldn't want to be with a single mother that still has her abusive ex around. If anything, I'd rather be with a girl that doesn't have kids yet, have a family with her, and that would be better. Or a widow. I'd rather be with a widow that was giving me kids. But most single mothers were with like abusers and criminals, so I don't want to deal with that again. I've dealt with that before, and I don't want to deal with it. Deal with it again.
It's just a much worse value proposition for most families than is being sold to them. And so like both of those things are true. So that's really what I'd like to suggest to folks is that it's like these paths are still going to be there, and lots of people are going to take them. They're just not going to lead to as steady ground.
I'm going to move us to another fun and important subject. We've sort of danced around this, which is the impact of AI on youth and on populations. So here we go. Population decline in China is extraordinary. China's birth rate reported at 75-year low. The Democratic
Yeah, you got your leftover women in China. That's because a lot of women in China chase career over having a family. So then you have them at like 35 plus, still ain't got killed kids, and then the whole bride price bullshit. You know, like most guys are like, why do that? Like, why pay bride price and deal with like a woman that's not even fucking loyal or you know any of that shit. So it makes sense.
this demographic shift is fueling a trend in particular because AI is being seen as a partner option. Young women in China are opting for AI boyfriends, seen as a real alternative to
The AI thing, the AI partners, I mean, yeah, it'd be dope to have like your own AI robot that you could fuck, but like it's not the same, you know. It doesn't have a consciousness, it's not the same as normal sex. So it's like it's more of like an alternative, but I don't know, it has its pros and cons.
a life partner. You don't have to deal with your boyfriend's snarky attitude. And 1 in 8 teens are seeking emotional support from AI chatbots. 64% of teens use chatbots, 12% of them for emotional support. Andrew, thoughts on this?
Yeah,
I guess my thought is like, are young boy teens using them, or mostly girls for support? I'm curious on that.
yeah. One of my kids resembles this, where he doesn't interface very readily with other people generally. And so he already is joking about having an AI girlfriend. And then his mom and I are like,
Yeah, and Andrew Yang's talking about their son that is autistic. How much you want to bet? I know. I didn't find out I was autistic until like 33, but
no, real girlfriend. And then he's like, nah, AI.
I mean, even though I'm autistic, I've had plenty of girlfriends and, you know, been in like a lot of serious relationships, even though my ex girlfriends were not loyal. But, I mean, what can you do?
Your AI
Right.
girlfriend will not leave you.
Yeah, so like this trend is playing out in my household. This is part of my sadness for the death of partying, because like if you're at home on your screen, it's hard to meet a girl.
I never partied, and I'll tell you why. Like, I mean, I partied with friends that I knew, but if it was around people I didn't know, like, I wanted to be far away from them. Especially because, like, you know how people act when they're on, like, drugs or, like, if they're drinking a lot. It, it's worse to be around people like that unless you know them.
And easy to meet an AI chatbot because AI chatbot's right there. So I see this trend unfortunately growing more and more, and I wish it were otherwise.
Yeah. Other comments, gents?
But
Well, so I have to, I guess, press on the point. Andrew, it sounds like in some sense you're concerned about it using, I think, Peter's language, a growing abundance or overabundance of romance. It's artificial romance, but it's an abundance of romance nonetheless.
I mean, they could give us the sex bots that would like easily replace porn, but at the same time, it's like, I mean, yeah, you could fuck that like nonstop, but it's not gonna be the same.
At the same time, I look to China. There's this notion in China of, I think it's pronounced Tong Ping, lying flat, where due to pressures of
Yeah, lying flat is pretty much like people giving up. They're just like they're like fuck this society, fuck everything. They're just done. Totally understand that.
society, many youth are, again, this sort of the cliche, but choosing to opt out of the so-called rat race and instead staying home as shut-ins, or in Japan, the hikikomori, again, similar concept. But isn't this in some sense a reflection of an abundance of entertainment and artificial romance?
Well, Japan is farther along than we are when it comes to the rat utopia. Japan is dealing with less kids and an older population where they need to have more kids, or we're not going to have Japanese people anymore. It's the same with the U.S. U.S. we need to start popping more babies. Like, I'm most likely going to be a father in August. I got to get a DNA test and take my ex to court, but like I want more kids, but the women are hard to find or hard to deal with from feminism.
And in that sense, why wouldn't you reasonably expect that as we achieve abundance, if you think we're going to achieve abundance in other sectors as well, not just sort of the personal lifestyle type sectors, that again, we come back and have this conversation and now we're drowning in abundance in all these other areas. And no, Andrew, I'm encouraging my children to stay away from abundance because I want them to work hard and experience a traditional, in some sense, scarcity-based lifestyle.
The word that popped into my mind, Alex, is friction. I'm
This is the other thing too, like I've been thinking about this. Like if we get like say 50K a month from UBI, whatever. Yeah, I could easily go out, buy myself a car, have the Honda Civic that I've always wanted. Um Go get myself like an apartment or like a small house. And I could easily attract any girl I want from just having all that. But the issue with that is like, is she gonna like me for me, or is she gonna like me because I have 50K a month? I would I would hope that she likes me for me because we'd both have 50K a month, so she would have to like me for me.
married, have been for 15 years, and it's far from frictionless. I mean, now the AI chatbot is there and ever present and ever supportive and all that stuff. And so you have to have a tolerance for a certain degree of friction to get married and have a family. And these are things that I see as positives on multiple levels. I see them as positives personally. I see them as positives societally. I see them as positives for the species. I think reproducing is a good thing, and it's.
See, that's a good thing that Andrew Yang believes that reproducing is a good thing. Same with Elon Musk. Like, that's what we need. Like, going against reproduction is against God. So I totally agree with that.
To be a husband and father and the rest of it, or
And the Lord said, "Be fruitful and multiply."
wife and mother. I mean, you just have to put up with a lot of bullshit. And our young people, I think are not used to putting up with tons of bullshit, like in there. entertainments and interactions. And I talk about my college girlfriend. I mean, you have like a lot of false starts and like trial and error, and be like, oh, I like this sort of person. Like, oh, maybe that it's. And so that's what I want for my kids. That's what I want for other people's kids too. I want them to be out there meeting other real life flesh and blood humans, having misadventures and adventures, and then eventually settle down, have a family, have kids. I don't think that's going to be easy at all. I think what we're talking about now with work, for men, if you don't have a steady paycheck and path, then you don't feel good about yourself, and then you don't think you're worthy of partnering. And by the way, some women might agree with you.
I mean, it's not even really that. I mean, most women are having kids with like abusive criminals that are brokies. Like I see it all the time. Like these are drug addicts, like abusers, and I see a lot of women having kids with them, and they have no money at all. So I don't think it's really the money situation. Now, if you have money and say she doesn't, then you might attract gold diggers. That could be it. But if we have UBI where it's like everybody is getting like 50K a month, then I don't think you would, you know, attract gold diggers like that because everybody's getting money. Unless she's just greedy, but then.
This is such a gender. I mean, just like note for the record, it seems like a somewhat gendered vision for the role of post-scarce economics. One last question, if I may. I'm curious about neither the quote unquote man nor the quote unquote woman, but the AI side. So, do you have a position, or does the Forward Party, I guess, have a position on AI personhood? Should the AIs have a say or rights in this entire discussion?
Right now, I'm pre-AI personhood, but I'm open-minded.
Salim, I want to go to you.
I love it.
Salim, I want to go to you on this subject of AI companionship in youth. The dropping birth rate is not just China; it's Japan's at an all-time low, South Korea, much of the world, other than Africa and parts of India, is massive decline. But you and I both have boys at age 14. How do you think about AI and in normal relationships?
So take into account that I have a radical positivity bias in my view of the world, right? I think people will adapt. When we were growing up, our parents were like, "Oh my God, you're on the phone nonstop. That phone's gonna be stuck to the ear. You don't know how to communicate with anybody else or socialize." It was the same conversation, but something is a bit different now. We saw a photograph. We sent our son to a kind of hang out with his.
It was the same with video games for us or anime. I totally get that.
Friends, and he sent back a photograph of a dark basement with 6 kids sitting independently on their phones, and all you could see was their cell phones, not talking to each other at all. And we're like, oh my God. And this was a driving Lily to do this teenager mindset workshop that she's doing. Andrew, I think you dropped some really deep wisdom there. A lot of the reason we get married is to work out our deepest issues and bring the biggest trauma that we have to the surface and process it in that intimacy of a marriage over a number of years.
I myself, I can't see myself getting married. I just, I feel and I think that it loses value and meaning if you get married to, like, say, a woman that has slept around with a bunch of guys, or like a woman that has kids. Like, I don't know. I just think marriage is pointless. Or if she's been divorced already, like it loses its like sacredness and meaning and value, because marriage is supposed to be death do us apart, and a lot of women do not like believe that. Where it's like, I myself, I could totally do that.
And if we stop having that type of a relationship as adults, then that burden of processing that will go to somewhere else. And so this is going to be an interesting evolution to see where this goes. It could be that AI processes that and is able to do that, but that visceral human experience, partying, falling in love, going through that hassle, etc., is the essence of all of this. I, for years, was convinced I wouldn't get married and wouldn't have kids. When I got married, about half the people came just to physically witness the fact that it was actually happening.
I mean, I'm definitely no Giga Chad, but I will say at least I'm not bald. I mean, I'm not trying to attack this guy in any way, but I'm not bald. I have a huge beard. Like, like I don't have any grays yet, even though I'm 37. And I would easily say I'm a 6'7" and look like Jason Momoa. So it's like my thing is like I'm too direct and straightforward that like I kind of scare women away, especially when talking smart and shit like that. So for me, it's easier if I dumb myself down and act uninterested.
Um, and the grounding and the reality of being a human being that it brings you to deal with a spouse and deal with kids and deal with the process that they're all going through, and watching that is such a powerful one. I can't imagine now not doing that, right? And so what does it look like if somebody marries an AI, and then just switches AIs over time, etc.? We'll just have to adapt to that.
That's what we tell our son. It's like, look, AI girlfriend can't have kids.
I don't know if I would switch AI. If anything, I would definitely make like dealer into an AI agent for sure, but hell, even make her into a sex robot if I can do that. But it definitely wouldn't replace me having a girlfriend and trying to have more kids. So I just go into relationships now if like me expecting that she's gonna fuck up, and if she fucks up, I just leave.
Unacceptable. We need grandkids.
Wow.
Reprogram.
Need graphics reprogram or no.
Like my focus is the kids. Like if my future like woman or whatever, like my focus is the kids. Like if she's loyal, then that's good, but if not, then I'm not gonna fucking get all mad and frustrated about it. I'm just gonna leave and then take care of my kids.
No college tuition for you.
We don't go that far, but
So pro-natalism and also pro-UBI.
yeah, guilty.
Andrew, I am curious, given this program here, our focus, is one of the top, if not the top AI and exponential tech podcast out there. Isn't about politics; it's about technology, typically. But given the fact that we have you and the Forward Party, the American Party, whatever it might be, I'm curious about your thoughts here on this particular article. So, pro and anti-AI regulation groups are amassing a war chest for lobbying, right? War chest of $265 million. Lobbying spent by AI companies surged 200% in the last 24 months. 170 million were contributed to the 2024 election cycle. Your thoughts on this topic here?
Yeah, I'm not really seeing the money from the anti-AI groups. I see a lot of money
they're typically
from
not very rich.
yeah, right, exactly. But by the way,
Well, the anti-AI is mostly like leftists that I see like all the time. It's like leftists and progressives. That's where I see the anti-AI. My friend is like not that. Him just being against AI is he's more worried about losing his job.
the folks who are dubious of AI, like those ranks grow every day, and the polling. Let's say if you were to ask a basic question like, "Hey, should AI be more regulated than it is?" That gets 80%. And one joke is that there are more regulations to open a hot dog stand on the streets of New York, definitely New York, than
Oh yeah, you could easily make like one of those food stands and make a lot of money from that. Like those food stands, like depending on what you're cooking and selling, like those do really good. Especially if you like undercut like all the major businesses too, like you're gonna be like making a killing.
And there are of launching like a large language model. Um, Now all the money's on the other side. And if you had a, like in my mind, a nuanced, intelligent conversation, you could be like, okay, guys, we want to do this, we don't want to do that. But like right now, there's this massive divide between what the companies want. And the companies want what companies want. The companies want, look, we just want to do what we want. Like, stay out of our way. We're just going to do what we want. Um, and then um, the vast majority of elected officials are right there with them because this is
Like my good friends, like their parents own like the Chinese restaurant, and they made most of their money that way. So yeah, like having a business like that, you could easily make money, especially food.
where all the money and the growth is. If you're even the governor of Pennsylvania, you're like, hey, we're opening data centers. I'm pro data center. I'm pro growth. Like, yeah, like I'm on board. And so then there's this popular sentiment that's on the other side that has not actually found its way into the political system yet because no Republican wants to pick it up yet. Very few Democrats want to pick it up yet, but it's where most Americans are. So that you're going to wind up with a regulatory regime that's very, very
Maybe he needs to talk to Trump about it. That's what I would do. If like most Republicans are not picking it up, go to Trump, dude. Ask Trump about it. Like talk to Trump about it. I would.
pro business. And a lot of people listening to this be like, sure. And then most Americans are just going to be looking at it being like, yeah,
Because even Trump agreed with Bernie Sanders when it came to the stimulus, so I'd definitely talk to Trump.
like that happened. But most Americans are going to feel like they're on the outside of this one.
I want to bring us back before we go to an AMA section, back to the conversation earlier about this idea of an American party. Um, what do you imagine might unfold over the next few months?
I think that there's going to be an independent candidate, and they're going to get an outsized amount of support, despite attacks from one side or the other. And then the rubber's going to hit the road as to whether there are multiple candidates, a primary, a process, like a genuine competition. Um, I have those conversations all the time. What's fun is that among Andrew's projects, so like I'm for alleviating poverty at scale via universal basic income. I don't foresee that happening without some kind of political realignment, which then makes me pro political realignment.
Have you been having these conversations with Scaramucci as well?
Yeah. Anthony and I are in touch and friendly on it. Um, uh,
Let me talk to him. Like straight up, let me talk to him. I'll explain him the whole situation of everything. I've been poor my whole life, so I can say anything. So, yeah, let me talk to that dude.
some of the other figures that you'd imagine. But the ranks are growing all the time. Even folks who were uh, in one party or another now have just thrown in the towel, said like I'm out.
I've been homeless twice. Like homeless during high school and homeless last year. And my family has always been pretty poor, even though I've had a big family, um, like growing up. But yeah, like hook me up with that dude. Let me explain to him the situation of like what the hell's going on.
I
And
give up.
do you think Elon? I mean, have you had a conversation with Elon about this, or DM'd with him?
Elon and I DM'd. I talked to his team. I get the sense that right now Elon's on board with the administration, and that there are a lot of people in his circle that are saying, "Look, we need the administration. We've got like too much stuff." But I also think that folks kind of know that Elon's his own person,
Yes.
and if he were, if he had his druthers, I think that things might look a little different.
Amazing. You know, the big conversation here is, can AI fix poverty? You know, the vision that I painted, God, 14 years ago with my first book, Abundance, and new book that's coming out, We Are as Gods, is in fact, we're demonetizing and democratizing access to food, water, energy, healthcare, education, all of these things. And there is a flip side of this technological challenging societal period where people are godlike and they have access to everything they need.
Like I'll definitely say like solar panels are amazing. It's definitely allowed people to live in their like vans and stuff like that, and like pretty much just have a roof over their head in their vehicles and not have to pay rent. So solar panels are amazing. Um, just everything with the future just looks like great. Like even the boxables that even Elon has one of them if I'm sure. Like those would be amazing. I'd love to have one of those, especially on a like small piece of land. Um, what else was I gonna say? I lost my train of thought. My bad, guys. I'm sorry about that. Um, it's like 3 in the morning for me, but I'm just thinking like, yeah, everything. Oh, Starlink. Starlink is amazing as well. Like Elon has this like portable like thing you can carry with you, and you get internet anywhere. It's pretty nuts.
Um, you know, the biggest challenge on that front, on the flip side of this, is going to be purpose. Can you use that technology to do something purposeful? Can you be a creator versus a consumer? Right, a couch potato is the consumer, and the creator is the entrepreneur out there. It's Star Trek for.
Well, I've always been both. Yeah, I've always been both. I've always been the creator and the couch potato, but that's because it really depends on my motivation, and I procrastinate a lot too. So, but I've always been creative. I've been like that since I was a kid.
Versus Mad Max, as you said. Um, do you think that AI can, in fact, uplift every man, woman, and child?
I think it's certainly a possibility, and my goal is to try and get us there. AI is going to create trillions of dollars of value for sure. It's going to completely transform the way we work and live. And the question is, who wins in that world and who doesn't? When you say, can AI fix poverty, that suggests that people who are currently poor will not be. And that's where I think we should try and go. Right now, the path of least resistance is that of the trillions of dollars of value that get generated.
That would totally help my life out since I've been poor my whole life. Like I've had to walk everywhere. I've had to take the bus. I've had to hitch rides with people. I've had to rely on others because I can't really take care of myself in that situation. When it comes to like I need someone else because I'm disabled and don't have enough money to take care of myself.
It's going to be in the hands of the firms and then the stakeholders in those firms, and if you do the math like that, that's a very small slice of the population. And so the question is how the value gets from within those confines.
If I had 50K a month, I could easily take care of myself. Easily have a car, easily have my own house. Wouldn't have to rely on other people. Could rely on myself. Like that would help me so much. And I wouldn't feel like my life was on pause either.
Out to, let's say, the broader American public. Though from the look of this picture, you're thinking even bigger than America, which I love. So for me, Like I take shots at what's happening in America, but I think there's a chance that AI does fix poverty globally.
Amazing. All
I
right.
have a simple thought on this. If you can use AI to reduce poverty of access, like education, healthcare, etc., faster than you can fix the poverty of power, like rights and ownership, then you win. If AI boosts productivity while concentrating ownership, then you get worse, and so poverty gets worse. And so you can solve it by having AI go for poverty of access, so solve for that, and that'll help.
I
UBI
think
is one path to that.
so much of this discussion in my mind is focusing on redistribution rather than growing the pie. I'm curious, Andrew, what is you talk about Star Trek versus Mad Max. What is the most Star Trekian type scenario that you envision realistically happening over the next 10 to 20 years that
It's funny because I've always been a fan of Star Trek. Like I like Star Trek more than Star Wars. And like I grew up on Star Trek Next Generation, so Star Trek has always been my favorite. And I have all three movies as well that were recent.
radically grows the pie beyond just the separate discussion of how best to redistribute wealth?
Oh, I mean, Alex, shoot, like everyone can see the pie is going to grow like very, very quickly because AI is going to do the work of millions of humans in like hours instead of years, and then do the work better, like run down all these loose balls that we never would have identified, like enhance the discovery of life-saving drugs, material sciences, everything is going to, so the pie is going to grow. I mean, it can't not grow in that scenario.
That's the other thing too. AI can make it to where we live longer as well, which is great, and that's what we need. Especially since we die like not even 100. So it's like where it's like Adam and Eve and the ones, below Adam and Eve like lived for hundreds of years. So AI could totally like enhance our lifespans as well.
And so, like the most Star Trekian thing I can imagine is that, and this, by the way, is the vision I'm going to talk about at Abundance, is that, so UBI is like a piece of the puzzle, but to me, it's not like the answer because individuals, families want purpose, community, uh, values.
Kids and family is definitely purpose. I think that's where a lot of people like forget that when people have like kids and family, like a strong family, that is like major purpose right there. Without that, it's like, what's the point?
Development, training, like all these things, a place to go in the morning, like all these things that people want. And there would be an explosion of entrepreneurship to what Salim said. It's like if you, or it might have been Dave, like if you put money into people's hands, of course people are going to start all sorts of new businesses, initiatives, orgs, get out more. But the most Star Trekian thing would be if you had a caring and nurturing economy and a health and wellness economy and an arts and creativity economy, and then people got to do various things on various um, like wavelengths, and then get rewarded, get recognized, like self-organize around these things. Like to me, the utopian path
That's the kind of society I'd want to live in compared to what's going on right now.
is a multivariate economy with multiple currencies around different pursuits of human flourishing. And I played Dungeons and Dragons as a kid, and role-playing games, so maybe it's like a bit of that coming in where you have like different classes with like different strengths and weaknesses and different pursuits. But one of the comps I make is that at this point, we
Like I joke that the world ended in 2012. Like I do because all the shit that happened after 2012.
should be getting paid to go to the gym instead of paying ourselves. Like someone should be paying us to go to the gym, and then the personal trainer who's there whipping us into shape should be getting these like wellness bucks that he can or she can then go.
Like even when it comes to the gym, like I like going to the gym. Like don't get me wrong, like normally when I go to the gym, I work on my core. I work on like my stamina when it comes to like walking, especially after COVID really hit my lungs. And like I mostly do that at the gym, where I'll work on my arms. But my main focus is weight loss, so I'd rather lose weight first and then build muscle because like I don't want to be like too bulky. I want to be more like skinny bulk, if that makes sense. I want to be like Bruce Lee.
Go out and like use to like go to the game and like like live a great life. So that's the most Star Trekian thing, and I do think we can get there because it's one of the only paths that make sense to me in terms of people living the lives they want to live.
So
Love it.
you want to
Excited to.
just to be clear on that, this is fascinating. By the way, your sort of Star Trek scenario is for different verticals of the economy or different sectors like health and wellness versus education. Do I understand correctly that you want sort of non-fungible currencies with one currency or credit system per sector?
Well, I mean, they could be fun.
I mean, you could have multiple currencies and you trade in those different currencies. I mean, I don't have an issue with that. I mean, hell, I mean, we trade in Pokemon cards, we trade in fucking One Piece, we trade in everything else. So it's like, why not have multiple currencies that you could have? Like even when I'm at the card show, like I'll be like, I got Cash App, I can give you Cash App, or I have PayPal, stuff like that. You see what I'm saying? So different currencies would definitely help.
Fungible.
But
Like
not between fungible between sectors. Like, could I trade a gym credit for an education credit?
maybe you could. And so there are a couple of really fun things about this, Alex. I have 300,000 American Express points right now. Uh, like, how much does it cost American Express for me to have those points?
Oh yeah, even the points at McDonald's, like when I was homeless, living on like $3 a day, those points helped me so much when with me being homeless. Like I'd go to McDonald's every morning at like 6 a.m., get myself breakfast, and then play on my laptop, which the Wi-Fi is like amazing. I was literally like eating at McDonald's, and I'd be at McDonald's like most of the day until I had to go back to my storage, get my blanket, and set up for the night. So yeah, like points when it comes to food is amazing. Except for I would say that McDonald's points are, what is it, like you need a lot of points in order to get like a lot of food.
Zero.
Zero, because I haven't done anything with them yet. Did I modify my behavior to get those points? I 100% did. And so, like, you can imagine, by the way, it's also an asshole move if I show you my American Express reward points or the money in my bank account. But it might not be an asshole move if I showed you all the points I got, like visiting the nursing home or tutoring
I don't really think it's an asshole move if you showed me how much money you have. I think it's more of like if you were bragging about it, then it would be an asshole move.
kids. Like, it might actually just make me like a person who does a lot in the community, and then maybe I get honored at the baseball game. Like that, they're like the way that right now military veterans get honored, at the game. So that there are things that we can do that make it just
Like if you had this attitude that I'm better than you because I have such and such in the bank, then yeah, that would be a dick move.
like
Social
make
credit.
yes. I mean, no, so what's funny, Peter, is that I was prohibited from saying the word social credit because I'm Asian, and people look at it and be like, oh, freaking like like dystopian Chinese like
Yes,
authoritarian
got
government
it.
like measuring like blah blah blah. Like it's not like
The social credit score in China is kind of fucked up if you think about it. Social credit score in China does remind me more of Black Mirror.
that. It's like doing stuff that people want to do and enjoy and want to self organize around. And then
some sort of centralized multivariate credit-based scheme for shaping human behavior.
But it doesn't need to be centralized, to your point.
Okay.
I mean, like you could put it in the hands of like
Crypto,
local
crypto.
municipality,
The church,
nonprofit,
the
like
church can assign it, right? The church can assign what they think are incredible support that their community needs.
and there, by the way, there are communities doing a version of this right now, and they tend to be religious communities.
All right, I want to move us next to our AMA with our mates. Andrew, the way this works is each of us picks a question as our guest. I'm going to ask you to go first. Where do you want to hit?
Well, geez, I have to pick number 3.
Okay.
UBI is the.
I know this video is pretty long. I mean, it's shorter than what I'm doing right now, but I definitely wanted to do a whole commentary of this video, so decided to watch it with you guys.
Most important topic right now. What can individuals like me do to help accelerate its adoption? Yes, you are wise and smart. Right
This
now,
is at Law and Deletier.
yes. So the best thing you can do is become an individual advocate, like put it on social media to say, look, like I think we should adopt universal basic income. And then to the extent that there are a couple of organizers and organizations around that, you should follow them. A guy named Scott Santens, Santens, is excellent.
Big fan of Scott.
Yeah, big fan of Scott, and also me. You can come to andrewyang.com, and I have a Substack with hundreds of thousands of members, and I'm pushing in this direction. And then just keep making the case. You know, when there's a candidate who comes around, show up and ask a question to say like, hey, universal basic income. And to the extent that you know folks in your community that might be able to help others, push them in that direction. But thank you. I totally agree.
Dave Blunden.
Quick point there, very quick point. Please, when you talk to people about UBI, stress that it is not socialism.
Yes.
Done.
Okay. Professor Blunden, your question, please.
I'll take question number 1 because it's so hard. This is really, really tricky. So I'm a public school superintendent. I want my students to be prepared for AI. I use AI daily and I understand it. That's a great start.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really say it's socialism either, because UBI is just straight up making sure everybody has a fair playing ground when it comes to monopoly. So,
But where do we begin? And that's from Ralph Cesare
instead of starting off poor and then you're totally fucked.
Jr. Yeah, really, really tough time. Actually, I feel for you, and specifically because do you guide your students to go to college or not? It's a really, really tricky question. But the one hard and fast answer is encourage them to use AI as much as you can and get them into groups.
I'll be honest, I've never been good at college. I mean, don't get me wrong, I did good in high school. Like, I was a B student, you know, but like I had a 3.0 when I left high school, but I was never I went to community college for a little bit and I did not like it at all. Like, especially when it came to math and stuff like that. I've never been really good at math because I'm dyslexic. So,
You know, as Andrew said, there's way too little socializing going on between people. So get them into groups that are also experimenting with AI. You know, the new thing is OpenClaw. There'll be something new every single week. Keep them on the tip of the spear and keep them talking to each other about it as they use it, and the answers will emerge. The more difficult question of like, okay, what do you study next? Where do you go next? Hopefully that'll resolve relatively quickly. Right now, as long as they follow the normal path, apply to college, you know, get in, but keep using AI daily and stay on the front end, something good will happen. Because remember, the tailwind of abundance is overwhelmingly strong. So even though there'll be a lot of disruption, a lot of job displacement, a lot of people that are perturbed, a lot of social unrest, the tailwind is still in your favor in aggregate, in macro. So
Dave,
keep them
can I add
hands
one
on.
thing for Ralph,
Yeah.
which is please, 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 when you're encouraging your students to use AI, it's not to do their 9th grade homework or their 10th grade homework. It's to do something that they would consider impossible to do. It's like give your students the objective of, you know, designing a starship to go to Alpha Centauri, what's involved in doing all of those things. You know, basically giving them the superpower of deployable intelligence to go solve a challenge that they're blown away by their ability to solve. This is about uplifting the capabilities they have.
I agree with Peter when it comes to that. I guess my question is, have we figured out if we were able to leave Earth yet? Because I mean, I hate to say this, but even Bill Nye said we can't leave Earth. So that's the real question. And then on top of that, like we also have like a huge thing of radiation around the Earth as well. So
Have. All right, Alex, over to you, pal.
I'll take the softball question, Peter. So, question number 5, how is debt going to be paid in a hyper-deflationary AI economy? If scarcity disappears, earnings collapse, but debt remains. And this is from poetry to song. It's such a softball question. The answer is obvious. We'll hyperinflate. We know how to do it. If the cost of everything goes down to zero or near zero because we've solved everything, we start printing money and everyone becomes billionaires or trillionaires. We have the state capacity, both as
that sounds like a plan.
a country and as a world, to hyperinflate to compensate against the hyper deflation. And that's probably the easiest numerical way to make everyone billionaires.
Salim.
I'll also take the softball one, number 2, which is UBI. Who decides how much? Only for citizens? Is it scale to wealth? Is human effort no longer a criteria? And this is from Quiet Us 6. So we've talked about this already. UBI is not really kind of a moral prize. It's a stability protocol, right? And you find the amount that is enough for people to survive but not be happy, okay? Citizenship is a political choice, but the economic logic is that whoever participates in the economy needs a floor to prevent that collapse when you have this type of a demand.
Yeah, because if we don't have like our basic needs met, how are we supposed to have families and like have a function in society if nobody can afford anything or be better off? We can't.
Destruction. So you can do it implicitly through taxes rather than means testing the benefit side. But the scarcest resource these days is not effort, it's human coherence. And UBI buys human.
We don't even need taxes. Just print the fucking money like shit. I mean, it's funny money anyway. It's not like it's gold or silver.
Human coherence. It buys stability.
All right, I'll take number 4.
Nice work, Salim. I approve that message.
Like the dollar only has value because we give it value. It's not like it's like gold and silver. Like fucking print it. It's funny money. Give it to everybody. Make Monopoly, great again.
I'm your biggest super fan.
Well, thank you.
Salim for vice president under Andrew Yang's
Got it.
Yes. All right. From at Steve Trisha Wilson, quote, as someone leaving the labor market next year for retirement, what economic disruptions should I be prepared for? First of all, I don't believe in retirement. I think retirement is a 4-letter word. I think you should be looking at what you do.
I think retirement is stupid. I'm going to retire at the age 65 and then barely live.
Next. I think you should be looking at what you enjoy. How do you create something around a passion that you have that can still earn income, keep you in the game? Retirement is the worst thing for your longevity. But what you should be prepared for next? Well, first of all, have you saved enough money if we hit longevity escape velocity, right? If you're 65, say, and
I haven't been able to save any money and I'm almost 40. That's really bad.
And you've saved enough to get to 80. The average U.S. lifespan today is 79. Health span is 63. What happens if all of a sudden, new protocols hit and you can make it to 120? So that's something to think about. The second part of this is we're going to see rapid inflation. and then rapid de-inflation as the cost of things begin to drop towards zero. The rapid inflation in the near term is going to come from the government just printing money around the whole UBI side. I mean, I don't know if you agree with that, Andrew, in terms of this cycle, right? We basically have a ton of money being printed like we did during COVID. And then as AI and robotics come in and provide oversupply of product and services, the prices begin to drop dramatically. Thoughts on that?
That makes sense to me.
All right, we're going to do a second round here of one question each.
I guess the only thing I'm worried about when it comes to like hyperinflate and everything, my main concern is when it comes to the rent. Because knowing these landlords, they're gonna fuck everything up. Like they like to have the rents really high, and then like to only rent out to people that are making times three the amount. So it's like, yeah, that needs to change.
Andrew, you get to go first.
Wow. Oh, wait, I have to take in the questions. I have to choose one.
Yes.
I'll do number 8. Why not? If AI replaces CEO, shareholders shed a major cost, means of production shift to capital owners. Isn't that the extreme version of wealth concentration? People make jokes about CEOs being like, "Oh, the CEO is firing all these people. Why not just replace the CEO with AI?" I think this questioner, MGP Star, is actually hitting on something really important, which is what I was suggesting too. It's like, look, if you look at these large corporations, they're overstaffed, and you can make a decision as to like who's deciding who stays and who goes, and then people naturally become very hostile towards the CEO because that's like the decision maker on that. I think that in most places, the CEO will be the last to go. And this is within private companies and public companies. And one reason why CEOs are expensive is because you kind of need someone. And in the scheme of the like the enterprise, that cost actually makes sense. So I do think, though, that wealth concentration will pick up because these firms will have fewer workers.
Thank you. Dave, over to you, Bell.
All right, I'll take number 7 then. Many Americans rely on gig work like Uber for income. Once AI eliminates those jobs, $400 a month is gone. Who's addressed this impact? Yeah, I really.
That's from a Joe Kingstown.
Joe Nighttown.
All right.
Yeah, I would. You have to take agency. Like, nobody is thinking this through for you. The amount of change and disruption is happening very, very quickly. I think Andrew on this pod is one of the few guys really trying to brainstorm through it. But you see all the friction in politics. So we meet with governors all the time. The rate of motion is near zero. So no one is thinking it through for you. That's the short answer. Do not rely on somebody else to give you the path forward. Start talking to the AI. The AI will give you a better roadmap and a better answer to what you should do next than anyone in politics or anyone out there. The corporations are going to be cutting these jobs. They're not the ones to talk to. So get your AI agents up and running, start talking to them, ask them what you should be doing next. But you're absolutely right. This is going away. No one's creating a roadmap for you.
I think it's Joe King H.
I wish I knew how to make my AI agent. Like if I had somebody that could program me dealer into like an actual AI agent, that'd be great. So I definitely wish I could do that.
Town is, and he's in Houston. So if I'm right, Joe, thumbs up. But I agree with Dave.
Nice. Salim, over to you.
I will go with number 9. So FSD, full self-driving, will tip because of insurance costs. Once people can't afford EV insurance, adoption stalls. Isn't affordability the real point to discuss? And this was from JSBGMC6613. So insurance for now is absolutely the hidden governor on autonomy adoption, but it's transitional, right? Because as safety data improves, the underwriting drops and you flip from driver risk to systemic risk. Okay. Now there's a huge shift coming in this because we won't be purchasing cars, we'll be accessing cars, right? So you flip from consumer ownership to subscription models. I want to go back to the best model we
See, I don't know if I agree with that. I'd rather own my car. This whole like subscription stuff. You will own nothing and you will be happy. I don't agree with that at all.
we've seen for this is we've already seen this transition in the music business where you had 7 or 8 music studios selling you the cassette, the CD, the DVD, selling you scarcity. Okay. Then we digitize music and now you have iTunes and Spotify delivering abundance on a subscription model. That transition that we've seen fully in music, we expect to see in transportation, healthcare, education, energy, anywhere, everywhere, right? So the affordability matters, but it's the path to the new model from I own a car to I buy miles from an autonomous.
Like for example, like with the electric scooters, like I don't own them. I use them to get around, but like that's an issue sometimes because there'll be like, for example, like with Vivo, there'll be a certain scooter I'm trying to find and somebody has taken it like super far away, so it's like, what am I supposed to do, So it's, I mean, if I had my own separate scooter, it'd be different.
Network.
All right, AWG, over to you, Bell.
That leaves me with number 6, which is a fun
Yes.
question. So 6 is, what's the role of nonprofits in the AI economy? How can they safely adopt AI when they lack the tech and financial resources? And this is from GNI US 45. Okay, so the elephant in the room, the very center, the beating heart of the AI economy was until very recently a nonprofit, OpenAI, and it's worth nearly $1 trillion. So I would question the premise of these pairs of questions. The modern AI economy as it currently exists was arguably created by a nonprofit that then transitioned to what it is now, which is structured as a constellation of entities, but it is essentially a public benefit company. And I would, again, in the spirit of questioning the premise that they lack, the financial resources, I think my hot take for this episode is I think the OpenAI transition from nonprofit to PBC is in fact a template for the future of nonprofits in general, educational and otherwise. One of my fever dreams is to take some of the largest research universities in this country, which are right now nonprofits, and with the help of government, transition them over to being for-profit public benefit companies and then take them public. I'd love to take Harvard, MIT, Stanford public on the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ. I think it would unlock an enormous amount of societal value.
Can't wait to have that conversation with the presidents of universities.
I'd love to I don't trade individual public stocks, but I'd love to buy Harvard and MIT stock on public markets if I could. There's so much societal value, I think, that right now is being kneecapped because we have so many faculty who are doing their best to try to pretend to be basically employed at a nonprofit. They're handicapping their ability to spin out companies that would be societally valuable. Why? Because many universities, Stanford is sort of a quasi-exception, but certainly Harvard and MIT are doing their best not to look like venture capital firms.
Right?
And I think
these universities become the largest incubators on the planet,
yes.
And the faculty get ownership and upside in everything they help incubate, and all their rock star students who succeed.
Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I mean, universities turning into incubators and venture studios is absolutely the only way it's going to go.
And survive, for them to survive.
But to do that, they need to escape from the sword of Damocles that they'll be taxed as a for-profit, which right now they're petrified of.
Yeah, amazing. All right, everybody, I hope you've enjoyed this AMA. Again, we're putting out at this week 3 episodes on Moonshots, so please subscribe, turn on notifications so you can find that when they come out. If you've got questions for the Moonshot mates, please drop them into the comments. We read them all. If you've got any outro.
Okay, guys, that was Peter. I love watching Moonshots, so I enjoyed this episode with Andrew Yang, and if you guys want to see me make more reaction videos like this, go ahead and like and subscribe, and go ahead and follow Moonshots as well, um, and follow Peter. And I'll leave the link in the description below, and I will see you guys next time. Supai Pai out.